No, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that was your mouth. The mic's right over there. Anyway, hello. This is Alex here with our new intergalactic lawyer, who currently represents the interests behind the Legends version of our show, which is confusing. The Star Wars New Canon Book Club, where Jesse Davis and I sort of haphazardly followed along with Disney's version of Star Wars for about half a decade, for better or for worse, and which ended unceremoniously in late 2020. Anyway, we seem to have come to some sort of agreement regarding the future of the SWOCBC archive, and it seems to be all good now, so I'll let my esteemed guest explain, and then I'll translate. He's very happy to be able to make these episodes available to you now after they've been away for so long. He says that while they were in the vault, they had their archivists organize and remaster all the episodes and place them into 4 definitive collections, which they'll be releasing again over the next few months in partnership with us. He says they're going to be permanently hosted on our Patreon page, but that they're fully 100% free for all listeners, and that it's very important to them that nobody have to pay for access to a bunch of stuff we recorded half a decade ago that everybody already listened to for free for years. But yeah, SWOCBC Collection 1 is available now only at patreon.com/SWOCBC. That's patreon.com/SWOCBC. It's almost 20 hours of remastered content. Go there, check it out, have a look around, give them a listen if it pleases you, and may the Force be with you. Brothers, welcome back, my brothers, to Restore the Puppet, a podcast about people who are committed to a political movement, a movement about getting Lucasfilm and Disney to get their head out of their asses and restore the puppet, the weird, ugly puppet version of Yoda from the beginning versions of Phantom Menace.
In case you weren't up to date, George Lucas literally said, and I quote, "I've moved past Star Wars." That happened. I saw that literally today.
I feel so good for him.
I just saw it today. He's like, I'm over. I don't mess with Disney anymore. I'm past Star Wars. I was like, damn, okay, Lucas.
I love that.
That $4 billion, you spent it already?
I love that for him. To be honest, the bit was that this is a support group and political movement for people. We're going to spread on Reddit. We're going to bring back the old puppet version of Yoda from Phantom Menace.
They threw that in the trash. It's gone. Puppet Yoda, thrown away.
We could have had a movie with a puppet Yoda, and we had it, and then they took it away from us. They hurt us.
Oh, yeah, because they replaced it.
They took it away.
What if they can't bring it back, but instead we were like, give us, High Republic sexy. I want, full head of hair Yoda. I want deep V
You want Yaddle
Yoda.
Is what you want.
I want, no. I want sexy Yoda.
You want Yoda when he's still full
High
one.
Republic Yoda was not sexy.
I want Yoda.
More like Thigh Republic Yoda. Right?
I want a sex scene with Yoda in his prime. I want to see what that's like.
That's where you're at with Star Wars visions?
No, that's if they can't bring the original back.
Okay,
I'm just saying they have to do something to make up for it.
Shocking, jarring.
In Phantom Menace, you want there to be a flashback cutscene. Yoda's talking to Mace like, no, Mace, we should listen.
If they can't bring back the puppet like you said, then they have to make amends.
In High Republic, hair I had. Very flowing, yes, Mace. Hmm?
A couple 100 years ago it was. I fucked up. I'll say it.
No. Much stress, lost hair. Hmm?
Welcome back, sailors and friends, to this is a SWOCBC Q&A. We do these from time to time. It's been a minute since we did one, so we're back with another one. Davis has...
What's it going to be? Gasconu's Comtana?
Yeah, you didn't...
What happened to you, dude?
It's hashtag restore the puppet.
He's trying to do a bit, but it's not as good as welcome back to Slink Slong Slobberdash.
There's not that many characters in episode 1 of the Phantom Menace.
Every fucking pod racer. Just name 3 of them right now.
Mars Guo, Tinto Pagalis, and Ben Quadraneros.
There you go, see?
Have we done
Bluff
Ben
Shitto.
Quaterneros?
No, but they're not broadcasters. And the point is, I'm mad because they took Yoda away from
Little
us,
Annie Skywalker.
and I want it back. Greg Proops' character from the Pod Race. This is his podcast. This is his. He had us a character-based improv show. Him and his other head,
that see,
and it's called.
That happened.
I don't know what those characters are called. I actually like my lore like extends like just up to the end of the '90s. I don't really know the prequel stuff as
So
well.
you're not. You want to see like a Whose Line Is It Anyway with the two-headed guy?
Let's just get Greg Proops on the show. I mean, like he already is an improv comedian in his real life.
Do you think the other head was Wayne Brady?
I don't remember who it was. It was
Was
like,
it not just both the same voice, or
No,
was it
one
two
of them was
different?
like
Ita Chutawa.
like it was like one was in English and one was in Huttese.
Little Annie Skywalker.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was cute. Are you like Are you just for the first time?
He just had like an
unironically
appreciative smile. Like,
appreciating
wow.
this moment from Phantom Menace.
Oh, my brain is like, what does that mean? Like, is it a species that like they think differently, or just one is choosing to translate in
This
the
is
other
a
thing?
feature of the
Do they
Boon to
come
Eve.
from two walks of life, though they're of one body?
Knowing how Star Wars lore works, my guess is that
Is it
there
gonna
is
be
like
changed?
there's like a race of people.
The
that
Hutts.
One
One guy's got a Huttese and the other guy's got a standard
I think there's
galactic
probably
basic
there's
dude.
probably an alien, and that's their job as like a people is that they announce things in multiple languages.
In specifically two
So you could watch like
languages.
a soccer match.
Yeah.
Where
Space
one
soccer.
guy's
Spocker. Yeah.
Spocker. You can
Yeah.
watch Spocker where one guy is speaking. No, Spanish is already starts with a
Live
spot. So one
long
guy's
and
speaking
play
Spanish
soccer.
and one guy's speaking Splinglish.
Yeah. Splinglish.
Splinglish.
Yeah. I love that movie.
And and
Great egg sandwich in that movie. Whew. This is your only slightly episode 1 themed Star Wars Q&A show from three guys who don't know shit about fuck.
aren't even remotely close to
How
episode
did we
1.
even get? How do we make this? The fuck, like Rick Collins'
Splingglish.
mailbag, I guess, is what
You
started
guys,
this.
it's called Yes Ending, and you're doing it, and it's all in honor of Greg Proops. No.
Damn right it is.
This show is a chance for us to use our unique expertise, because as much as we are not in any way worthy of being listened to, we have read everything in order from the beginning of Star Wars.
That
till
is
now.
true.
And so we do have a rather unique viewpoint, I would say, and a pretty open, like we're pretty open-minded. We're not really trying to
Say
push,
another point of view.
yeah, a certain point of view.
A certain point of
We're
view.
not trying to push any doctrine here on the show. We're not trying to have established canon feelings about certain pieces of media, but we're here and we're trying to talk about it. And Davis has collected not only discussion questions from what show to what show?
From the last Lando book up through the Marvel Comics.
Okay,
all
so
those
the Star Cave of
it's like
Samboka to Star
video
Wars.
games. We got
yeah,
we got
lots of
newspaper strips, Marvel Years discussion
all
posts.
kinds of
I'm
stuff.
excited to see what people ask.
And then we also have some...
It's sick because we are getting to the point where listeners were young and new, like remember that era. So some of the responses for these, I'm like, oh, we're getting like, and I think
Cool.
as we go, that will continue to
That's
be where
the
people
thing
kind
I'm
of
still
Hello,
just-
80s babies.
Yeah, I don't think people really realize like how this show like widens its lens like so quickly.
Yeah.
So soon. We have to brave a trial of BattleBots and little bears. BattleBots and bears.
That's the future us problem.
yeah.
Not now.
Yeah. Today we just have to answer questions and answers. Oh, and there's free question answers, just like always, at patreon.com/SWOCBC. You do not need to be a member even to fill out the Google form. You just
That's
have to
true.
go to the site. And speaking of going to the site and not having to be a member, SWOCBox brings back Swanack back.
It's already back, baby.
Yeah.
We brought Swanack back
Swanack's back, baby. Swanack's back.
in a pack of 20.
All right.
Yeah, we have the first snack pack available now.
It's a big snack.
It's like 20 hours of the show. I'm remastering
It's
every
like a party
episode.
size snack.
Yeah.
I'm remastering every episode so you can actually like,
Every road trip,
yeah.
it will be filled with us
covered.
from now on. You're good.
Yeah, it's always going to be forever at Patreon. I literally don't know why it's not being shared onto the exclusive Patreon feed for Spotify. It says that it is, and for a day it was. You could go on the Patreon feed on Spotify and listen to it from Spotify, which was really cool.
Now it's not?
But you can't. I don't know. I sent Patreon like a an email about it.
Oh, do you think maybe? Well,
I'm sure they're gonna get right on it.
our hosting service for the original is not there anymore. I was gonna say maybe because it's already on there. It was like it was double, but it's not.
It's literally a new upload.
Yeah.
It's a new file through Patreon. Patreon automatically uploads all the audio. I made it free. I literally did it. It worked for me, but now it's gone. So you can go listen to it right now. You can also download all the individual files. So, like, if you just want to listen to one specific episode, they're all labeled now. You know which one has John Boyega story in it now. There's all kinds of
Real true story.
Yeah.
That people gave me so much crap for, but it really happened.
There's so much lore.
You pest.
There's so much lore to digest. So yeah, I'm gonna do that like 3 more times. There's like a bunch of episodes. There's like 65 episodes or something like that. So I'm gonna get it all out to you guys as soon as I can. They're gonna come out in little. It's the Legends collection.
Cool.
Because it's so confusing because it's new canon, but it's Legends. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, fuck you. Anyway.
Whoa.
On to the theater. Let's start with some discussion cues.
Well, speaking of bridging the new and the old,
Uh-oh.
our first question is from Pharaoh. Hi, my name is Pharaoh. Just wondering, who do you think from the proto Star Wars verse would get along the best with Luthen from Andor? For me, I think it would be Leia. I feel she'd be down for his brand of the cause, although Bale didn't like Luthen, so who knows? Worth it for the Leia and Clea team up anyways. Thanks for is that the sister? I don't know. Our cousin.
Clea?
Thanks for uploading the old pod on the Patreon, by the way. Currently releasing right now, and it's been great.
The look in your face, you were like, who?
Is it really Clea?
I think it's Clea.
Okay.
I could be wrong, though. I don't know.
This question really...
Look, it is... You're right, it is... Well, wow, Leia and Clea. But it's Kleya. How you pronouncing that?
Clea. I mean, I don't know. But
Yeah.
the question kind of is, who in what we've read so far...
Yes, would
is
hang
like-
out with Luthen.
But Luthen is a extremely politically motivated, sort of like brutal, sort of remorseless, or at least remorse... He's conquered his remorse. He gave a whole speech about it.
I actually, I mean, it's not he exists beyond the Protoverse, but like Lando, comic
Libertarian Lando?
Comic Lando actually seems the most, because he, like, when he goes and meets up with in the most recent Marvel one with that like lady who's like, help me, and then it's like, oh wait, you don't want democracy. Like, he in the comics is more politically motivated now, and he is suave and he has capes. Like, there is a like, like then
Sure.
game recognizing game.
Yeah.
Him being more actually what Luthen pretends to be.
I don't think
in
there's
terms
any-
of being like stylish, but I think they get along.
I don't actually think anybody's really hard enough, to be honest. Like Luthen is like dead ass. He's like Nick Fury. You know what I mean?
Like-
he's very much
What
like...
was the pirate guy's name?
Oh, Red Jack?
Like those dudes who were the sort of the one guy who fought Vader.
Yeah, the guy who like ended up being
Oh,
a cool guy.
Yeah, what is his name? Oh my
That
gosh.
dude would mess with Luthen in a heartbeat.
But he has too much like goodwill. Like he like helps you out when you need it. Like that's not Luthen. Luthen is like...
No, the guy was like the mercenary who was
He, like,
kind of a
hated,
dick.
He was a stormtrooper and then like got a change of heart.
Yeah, and then he like was trying to
Vance?
kill Luke.
Yeah,
and then
Vance.
he fought Vader. I think he would.
Baylor Vance, right?
I think
I
he
think
would.
you're right about Leia though being the best one, because she, at least in the comics especially, does have some hardcore, like, she like does the hard tough thing to like...
Sure.
Leia is the most...
But Luthen does have some moments, like he does a couple nice things.
Yeah, that's true.
I haven't seen the end of... I am still missing the last 3 episodes of Andor, by the way, so...
Yeah.
3. We got to.
We just got to finish it.
But, and I shouldn't say he doesn't have compassion.
Because I don't know how he ends, or if he does
He
end.
does look out for his people. He knows his priorities.
Huh.
And I don't know who's...
He will treat them as resources.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, when he has to. But who fuck? That's what I'm saying. He's Nick Fury straight up. But who fucking died? Didn't somebody go out swinging in the comics?
A lot of people. I mean, like,
what's his face? From General.
Yeah, Dodonna.
Yeah, Dodonna.
Yeah, Dodonna kind of is kind of badass in the because his son died, and so he just kind of
Sure.
like blew himself up. That was cool.
Yeah.
My answer is no one has been hard enough. I think
I think you have to like translate the 70s, 80s era of the thing. Actually, like the robot that blew up her master in the Marvel comics. Remember, like the guy that got like tortured by Vader that they were searching for forever.
Yeah.
Like that droid could go work for Luthen.
yeah, like that droid, the one that was like alone on the planet with the dead rebel guy. That one.
Yeah.
That was a cool one.
Man, yeah,
That fucking dead guy. That's Luthen. That fucking dead guy is Luthen.
That's his soul.
The guy that spy who like gave everything and died and left like a robot so dedicated that it was like the ghost of him.
Sure. Yeah.
That's I feel like that's my answer. I'm changing it.
I still think Leia's the best one. I think we got immediately with that question.
Leia's
the best one.
Nah, but there's the Protoverse Leia is a little bit like not the most feminist character of all time.
I guess.
But I don't know what that has to do with Luthen,
also,
though.
But
especially
Luthen's not like that boy kissed that boy. I'm so fucked up.
I think like Spawn of the Mind's Eye dives into kind of like the realer, harder version of Leia, the like one, the kind that like through art found her way to rebellion,
develop,
but also who like has PTSD and like
They talked about the torture. I forgot about that.
yeah, like that version like got to be real in the way that Andor like
in real life,
having like
quote unquote,
like
she would have to be a fucking hardcore ass. She would have to be exactly like Luthen.
yeah, like having a scene where someone just has like a mental breakdown, like a PTSD flashback scream, and then is like, I'm okay. Is like not Star Wars except Andor. Like that's like that scene in that book like jumped to the tone of fucking Andor to be real for a sec.
Yeah.
Greetings, Star Warriors. I have been a long-time listener since the original Aftermath video was dropped on YouTube.
Yo!
I want to congratulate you three on keeping the pod going for so long and all the iterations despite your busy schedules. I have considered SWOCBC and SWOCBC to be my comfort food listens throughout my life in all its ups and downs.
Yo, thank you.
I have changed and evolved as a person while listening to the podcast over the years and can recall core memories of sitting at the table drinking coffee, mouth agape at some of the discussions. Right? The golems. What? That's what you're talking about.
Right.
My question for you three is, do you believe that discussing the old canon was inevitable? I feel that more nuanced and interesting discussions were always awaiting us in the old canon, despite whatever direction the new canon took.
I don't know that it was inevitable, but I feel like based on the path we took through the new canon, it made sense to go back and look at where it all began, because the new stuff, that was sort of like, oh, Star Wars is here. We're talking about a thing we all love. This is fun. Let's get into it. And as time went on, it became like, I think what we really decided we love wasn't necessarily the new Star Wars stories, but the universe of Star Wars itself.
Yes.
A setting where you can have multiple stories.
We'd see these one things where people were like, and finally someone's doing Star Wars. Like, that's kinda how it felt, yeah.
And so going back now, I think is very fun because we get to experience not only some things from our childhood, but we get to see it in a new light, and we get to live through Star Wars again, and it isn't affected by anything currently happening. It doesn't matter how we feel about Andor, how we feel about like the Starfighter movie that's coming out or any of that stuff. It literally is just going through. It's like if we decide to do a book club about like an old book series, like Agatha Christie's or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That has no bearing. We're not going to have any new things on it, so it doesn't matter.
The beginning and the middle and the end is an important part of the show now, I think. But I think you're right. Like, first of all, I want to say the discussion, the tone of the discussion, and the topics that we discuss, for the most part, have been the same between the two shows. I feel like we go the same sort of, at least from my perspective, as my own person participating in those discussions for 10 years, I feel like we've been trying to talk about the same stuff. And I think one of the things that got in the way with SWOCBC was the hype and the like what decision they're making happening in real time and us having to be like, that's where they're going with this, whereas with this, it's settled. So you can, there's no surprises. It's here. We don't have to think about the direction. I don't want to think about the business. I want to think about the business the way we're doing it now, where we're looking at it in kind of like excavating it. You know what I mean? I love the sort of archaeology of it all that we're doing right now by kind of like looking back and being like, what happened with this person? I love the moments where we're in the Inside the Insider and we're going like, holy shit, did this person get a fucking job doing this thing? Who is Bob DeMovie a real guy? Like, you know, stuff like
No, I searched. That person is not real.
that. He is a Cylon.
It's funny because I was re-listening to the like chunk you put out, and we were even talking about because some of the like Tucker or other reviews where we were like, this has got to be like written, and we had not yet. The names are all real-ish sounding. We had not yet met Bob DeMovie, Robert, but it's the best one. We're like, Bob DeMovie. That's not.
There's no way.
There's no way.
I don't know. I hope he's listening. I hope he's out there. I hope we get him on the show. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like that angle of looking at the business and kind of looking at it and being like, this external reason is why the art ended up in this form that it's in, and it's already happened.
There's also freedom to the idea of if something's coming out and we're caught up in it. If, you know, for example, Mandalorian, if an episode sucks, we're like, that sucked. That was not good. Oh God, I hope they turn it around for the next one. I don't want to watch a shitty show. And this, if something sucked, it's like, well, that was terrible. All right, on to the next thing. Let's see what else they're cooking up.
Yeah, let's see the droids this time. Let's read the Jabba the Hutt.
And it's totally fun. It's freeing. Yeah. It's liberating to not be caught in the moment and just existing kind of outside of it.
Yeah. And I think when we stepped away and we thought about coming back, because it was a lot shorter of a break than I thought. It was only like a year or two, a couple years. Because
look, that last movie killed me, dude.
And we didn't even, it's funny because we left the show on the dangler of not reviewing the final episode of The Mandalorian. And I think it's just because, I don't want to spoil what happens in the last episode of The Mandalorian of season 2, but it was just such a metaphor for like everything about Star Wars that we were kind of like over. I don't think it's like something we're shitting on. I think people all have their feelings about Star Wars, you know, like,
sure.
And Disney across the board is a lot about like comfort and being really wholesome and being something that, you know, is always there for you, like a Coca-Cola, you know what I mean? And so, you know, for them, that's what's valuable to them about having a property like Star Wars is, you know, pulling those strings from time to time. And I think for the general public, I think like some of those things were really satisfying, you know what I mean? And I think that's weird, but I think that's a thing. And I think like just the fact that we can look at it now and be like, oh, actually what we really like to do is like talk about, instead of like, you know, being mad about the conditions in the fandom that are leading them to make decisions like characters in the movie saying, yeah, fuck what happened in the last movie, right? Like, you know, like that was such a hot thing to be talking about in a podcast that it could take 40 minutes for us to talk about it because we all have feelings.
Or 4 hours.
Yeah, well, you know what? I wasn't going to go there, but that's not in this. That's in the third chunk of that's in the third Legends collection.
But you're absolutely correct that there's like Disney gave people what they wanted.
Yeah.
But I think for me in particular,
I would say that they gave them what they thought they wanted.
And
sure,
but
but
I think
like,
a lot of people got what they wanted, for sure.
But like the idea of me seeing, you know, even I love Thrawn, I will always love Thrawn, but seeing him delivered in a way that's vastly different than what I know is jarring. Seeing like Dark Troopers delivered in a different way is jarring. And it doesn't make it bad. It just, I'm like,
These
I don't
motherfuckers
know.
made a robot of Walt Disney himself that you can watch. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, there is no better metaphor than that.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? Like, that's
Yeah.
what they're doing. That's Disney's thing.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's inherently bad,
That's
but
why
it's jarring to me to be
in
like,
Rise of Skywalker, because it rhymes. It's why they made him a puppet, an animatronic.
Oh, yeah?
Was it inevitable? Like, we discussed the old canon because like
A lot.
Discussing the old canon was inevitable. We discussed it in the first iteration of the podcast.
You
so
literally in the first episode are like, one day we should like read all the old stuff too.
the new canon only exists because the old canon was so popular that they tried to start the new canon with like the height of the old canon.
That's everything that I was a fan of is in the old canon.
Yeah. I think like I don't know that doing the old canon book club was inevitable. Like if they had kept the energy, the problem for me seems to be that there wasn't really like a direction besides just get 6 books out a year, get a bunch of stuff out, and when you read everything, you're kind of like, the names and dates are ominously vague, and like they didn't really like have a lot to go on. And then by the time you get to Rise of Skywalker or whatever, we're kind of like, okay, there maybe is a universe where it ended differently, and that's still going on, but that doesn't really.
If the show was doing gangbusters, we would have done it more. But we
did it for fun.
Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Like what you were saying, like about how that it's over. It's just it changes the way that you deal with it, and also like we were younger, I was younger. A lot of pretty important world events have happened in them that have changed, and though I had a lot of fiery, intense opinions, it's like going through this and like reading all these other things that I would never have, that didn't read and wouldn't, has given me a wider perspective on Star Wars and in just fandoms in general. And like, I think that my Star Wars is the best version because it's the one that I like. And I think that like younger, where I'm like, if they just did what I wanted, everybody who doesn't know anything about storytelling it'd be better for everybody too. But it's like, okay, that's a weird way to think.
That's what Anakin literally.
That's how we all do.
That's how literally Anakin thinks about running the galaxy, dude. You better watch it.
From his perspective, Davis's opinions are
the publishers are evil.
Mike Wazowski. That's just the vibe I got.
Natalie Portman.
But like reading the comics and stuff and seeing the hype, like, and hearing about all this other stuff, like the comics were huge, and there's a whole bunch of fans of those characters, and so like seeing the Mandalorian, I forgot what the movie of the Mandalorian is.
The Mandalorian and Grogu.
The trailer. If I had seen that during the New Canon Book Club era, I'd have been like, "Fuck that! What is this baby shit?" And I'm like, "Oh my god!" I like texted you guys. I was like, "Dude, this is actually the comics that we're reading right now." I'm watching a trailer for that movie. Like,
yeah, sure.
Like a weird ass Star Wars movie. Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not even looking at it whether or not I think it's good or bad. I'm just like, this actually, before I would be like, this isn't Star Wars. Now I'm like, this is a version of Star Wars. Is it my favorite flavor? No, but like, it is Star Wars, and it's for somebody. I don't know.
Can I
Point is, I have a broader perspective on it now, and even if I don't like it, I'm like, cool.
Sure.
And there might be a time where we do the new, like where we revisit.
I was just going to say that.
Stuff, and I bet you I will be softer and more understanding. Fuck the last show.
If that if that Jake Gyllenhaal movie comes out and it rocks, maybe we'll do it like let's talk about that real quick. It could happen.
And eventually we will catch up. Also,
yeah.
Ouroboros.
We might be back to Lost Stars one day.
What if using the same attitudes that we have now, when we complete all of this, we suddenly end up back at Rise of Skywalker or whatever,
and we're like, wow.
And we're like, you know what? Still hate it, but like I can see it for what it is. Like some sort of, like what happened?
What was that channel with Markiplier and that other guy where they like deleted the channel afterwards?
Anus, or whatever the hell that was.
Yeah, if we ever get to Rise of Skywalker in a complete watch through, let's just delete it all.
Just end it.
Yeah, let's just delete it all and never watch Star Wars again. Yeah. The other thing I was going to say, just real quick, because we're kind of flirting with the topic, is that saying that something is good or bad is like it doesn't matter at fucking all. It's like a very stupid thing to say about something because
it's opinion based.
It's like being like,
although, while good and bad is opinion based, Rise of Skywalker is objectively a bad movie.
There's a lot of good things. I have a lot of
factually terrible.
I have a lot of good things I could say about it.
Actually, here's the thing. Let's play this game because even that, like, in the way that we oversimplify or distill a piece of media down to a thumbs up or thumbs down.
Sure.
I think that overall it's a thumbs down, but like, there are some breathtaking sequences. The fight on the like ocean, like a lot of the stuff. Same thing with Last Jedi, where you're like cinematographically or like in some of the other ways that movies are important behind just the story. There are some impressive things.
Hold on. Can we take a moment as a collective group, both you listener and we here in this room? How very mature of you.
Yeah.
That was like a solid take. And
Davis-
now I have become the
Which is
Davis.
how I also was about like
Davis, what are you
the
wearing?
Last Jedi.
This black outfit that you're wearing with the one unbuttoned button and the glove.
Is that a green lightsaber?
Dude, Davis's
What are you
lightsaber's
doing?
green all of a sudden?
Dude,
How that? Wait, why is mine red? Wait, what
Jesse,
the hell?
dude, wait, why don't I have a lightsaber? Why do I just keep getting bowcasters?
Oh,
What is
sorry,
this?
Alex. We were just using you to make the audience think you were the Jedi of this trilogy.
Right.
But actually,
Oh, never
your
mind.
comedic
hold on,
relief.
Hold on. I gotta tell you something. Hold on. I gotta tell you something.
Youch.
We're gonna come back.
No, we're not.
To this.
No, we're not. Never we are.
We're gonna come back to Rise of Skywalker
Never-
in,
no,
in a
movie's
discussion
gonna end,
post
dude.
question.
No one's
Nope.
ever coming back to
Oh
it.
no, we're not gonna answer this question, but
Finn's not even gonna be in the goddamn Ray movie watch. If that's like, holy crap. Anyway, I still am not gonna say Rise of Skywalker is good, Rise of Skywalker is bad. The point is that
I'll
whether-
say it. It's bad.
the point is that it's worth looking at what people thought when it came out and looking at it through that lens, but actually what you think of stuff when you're talking about media in a way that's worth listening to for somebody else, at least while we're talking on microphones, it's very, very like empty calories to talk about how much something disappointed you or satisfied you. And when you're watching something like a new Star Wars movie the day it came out, the Swanak back conversation a lot of the time became about that for both of us, when we were yelling about The Last Jedi. You know what I mean? It became that for the whole show is about that when we were talking about Mandalorian and stuff, and we're kind of like making fun of the people making the show more than we're talking about like the pastiche of Western. And we did talk about that stuff, but that's not the thing that was smacking on everybody's minds. And I don't really like the idea of the show being like that. And I think the this is like so non-toxic, this version of the show, and it's like way better.
And I'm trying.
I know a lot of people.
I'm trying so hard to be toxic.
A lot of people, because of the like animal that we are, like to see other people's opinions and then like decide based on consensus of others. And I think that's what a lot of people, they want to like know, do you like it or do you not? And it's like, as much as you can reject that, like form your own opinions. Like it, even I still, if there's a game that I'm curious about, will click the review and scroll down to like the score. Like,
honestly, though,
yeah, it happens.
There is
so much more, and I do think we both show that, and I am living that through the old Canon book club. Like, I wish I could normally make myself read all these things, but I just wouldn't. But now that I do for this, it has given me so much greater understanding, much more patience with media that is not immediately tailored to my dopamine system. Sitting and just being like, I want this, this, and this. It probably made me a lazier consumer and thinker, but having to read these like comics that are just impenetrable to my modern sensibilities, and then eventually grokking it and like becoming drift compatible with it. Now I'm like, this thing that I don't like a lot of, I also can have an intense emotional connection with parts of it.
Yeah,
that I wouldn't before. I would just be like, give me a fucking movie. I want an action sequence, this kind of thing. And now it's, I don't know.
One thing I never see young people talk about, and I'm not really watching
The
this.
youth.
Arthritis.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I try
It's
to
gonna
watch.
get you.
I try to
Waking up
watch.
to take a pee.
I try to watch video game stuff, and I'm like a lot older than the people that make it. You know,
Sure,
You know what I mean? I'm just a lot older than most people making video essays about video games these days, right? Mm-hmm. And I just feel like people a lot of the time aren't interested in the sort of like fighting game or like a complicated JRPG-ness of something like reading and writing. Like when you talk about video essays today that are about a video game, there's all this stuff that they can tell you about the video game because the video game is in front of you, right? Like Street Fighter, you can talk about how to play Street Fighter because there is a game to be played. It's Street Fighter 4. You know, you can go sit down in front of it. There's a stick, and so Street Fighter is a real game. So that's why it's worth getting good at it. But media criticism, right, or something like that, where the enjoyment of it is also based on you getting in there and learning how to consume it and how to discuss it and how to think about it, right? Which is frustrating, right? It's frustrating because you're taking it out of a place of immediate dopamine rush and the satisfaction of saying yes or no and all that stuff. You're taking it off that track, but also there's no Street Fighter 4. There's no arcade stick to this type of thing. It's all imaginary. And one of the obstacles in getting to that headspace, especially when talking about stuff that's really popular, that like the general public knows about, is that they don't even believe that skill exists. That lets you dig deeper into media, right?
A valid point. However, who would win, Akuma or Luke Skywalker?
Luke.
Would he?
Well, which one? Old canon or new canon?
Old canon Luke.
Old canon Luke is win 1,000%. Old canon Luke is like Superman.
New canon Luke would probably get a little tired.
New canon Luke is Akuma.
No, new canon Luke is what's their like Goken? What's their like?
Oh yeah, the old guy.
Yeah,
that old like Clancy Brown looking guy. Yeah, that's him. That's Luke drinking that titty milk on the rock.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I just think that was something that I was interested in talking about Star Wars, is like being able to talk about media in general and and using Star Wars as a way to talk about it. And so, just to answer that question a little bit more completely, I think that was just worth saying.
Yeah, no, entirely. Let's do one more question, then jump to the discussion posts. Hi guys, big fan of the show as well as the Chilluminati. I used to listen to the New Canon Book Club episodes over and over, so I'm glad to see they're coming back. Speaking of some older content, I recently rewatched Jesse's Echoes of Eternity Star Wars
hey, thank you.
tabletop RPG campaign. I was wondering if you guys had any plans to talk about tabletop RPG systems made from the Star Wars IP on the show. I also want to ask if Jesse, and of course Alex and Davis, had any more background you could elaborate on for running a campaign set within the IP. For example, what areas of the old canon lore are the most inspirational to you guys in the context of experiencing original stories within or related to them. Basically, my question is, what do you wish was elaborated more on within the old canon, I guess? I once ran a short campaign set in the Empire years on a junkyard planet of old Clone Wars ships and found it really rewarding, as my players could essentially choose to be related to any part of the mythos that they wanted. Anyways, thanks for reading, and I await your answers. From the Toad. They, them.
Yo.
I thought it was a good question, and especially one, not just because you're in it, but didn't you play this tabletop RPG?
Yeah.
Eternity is
that's the one that I ran.
It's Legends though.
Yeah, that's Legends stuff.
Oh, that is the Legends one?
I mean, it took place so the way I ran that is it took place,
or at least the rule book is from
using the Legends rule book, but it was kind of like in that amorphous between the Rise of Empire years. So it's before the rebellion really kicks off. I had some Inquisitors in it as the villains, because it's like, well, Vader's not going to hunt you down, but you can have someone who's really tough come after you. I love that. Davis, you were in one I ran. we were on Nar Shaddaa.
Yeah,
and it
was that Echoes of Eternity?
No, that was just like an extra thing.
Okay.
That was like a 5 hours one shot, basically.
That was so much fun. Also, that system was, as a person that just played like basically just whatever D&D edition was going on, the way that you could like get a success or failure, but a plus or minus where you had to like negotiate an advantage or disadvantage was like such a cool way to like bring back role playing and like.
Yeah, because you're not using a D20. You're using dice that have different symbols on them, and the symbols activate, kind
of even feel Star Wars-y.
Yeah. Like one of them's literally like a blaster explosion symbol. It's fun because it's a completely different way of playing a game compared to Dungeons and Dragons, for example. And it's more about we're telling a Star Wars story together, and everything we do. So, for example, if you instead of a crit, you might get something that allows you to, okay, you can affect this scene in some way. How do you do that? Maybe you shoot someone's blaster out of their hand, or maybe when you are fighting a guy, you accidentally bonk his head, like a very, like Han move, and now they're knocked out, and you don't have to beat them, you knock them out. because you got this special role. And it can reverse too. Like, well, you go to fire, but your gun breaks or something. The door goes and seals on you, and now you're stuck in a room. It's fun. It can change the way things play, and it allows people to kind of get into the spirit of being in a Star Wars movie. But like, you could do it with any setting. I
guess that's not innately Star Warsy.
Yeah,
Star Wars is cool because everybody knows it. It's so common that like the way I feel when I'm talking about like the uncanny X-Force that has Wolverine and Deadpool and Psylocke, from a specific year, yada, yada, yada. I could go on, Rick Remender, yada, I could just talk about it forever, right? Pretty much everybody
Blackgar Boltagon.
Yeah. Hey.
Yikes.
Listen, don't infect this podcast with unwarranted inhuman
Man's
hate.
name is Blackagar Boltagon.
Don't you dare.
And they call him Black Bolt.
Don't you do this to me.
That'd be like...
Don't do this to me right now. Peter Parker's name is Peter Parker.
Honestly,
Reed Richards.
my
Susan
dog,
Storm.
Snoopy, his name was like on the books as Snoop Dog.
Yeah.
That's his. I
And you
changed
hate
it to
him?
Snoopy when I adopted him, but like,
And that's why his name's
So-
Black Bolt now instead of Blackagar Boltagon. So there you go.
yeah,
It's cool.
Also,
We cooled
there's
it
some
up.
people that name their kids really
Spider-Gar
weird names.
Manigan.
Yeah. Spider-Gar Manigan, dude.
Actually, you know what? Just like Elon Musk's kids' nams make Black
Sure.
Bolt sound pedestrian.
The point is
Not wrong.
Just every name that Jack Kirby has ever made up sounds like that, or that Stanley
Orion?
That's not. Never mind. He didn't make up the name Orion.
you're like you're just deflecting air. You're unbeatable right now.
It's just you use truth. It's like crazy.
I don't know. It seems more like you're taking arrows, multiple arrows.
And yet I still stand.
Well, yeah, for a little bit.
The point I was making is
You'll
that
fight on,
Star
Sean
Wars,
Bean.
Star Wars is like everybody knows the meat and potatoes of Star Wars, like the details. Like the average Joe, even like
The blue milk and Ronto rap.
yeah, like literally, like the average person knows like pretty deeply what it's like
But
to
even
be
then,
in Star Wars.
you don't. The fun thing about the RPGs, you don't need to, because during the course of playing, you can reveal facts and create things. And if they know the deep lore, awesome, because they can really help you set the story. But most of the time when I play with people, they don't know Star Wars besides the 3 movies they once saw. And that's enough.
I would just imagine there's more people comfortable pretending to be in Star Wars than even in like
All you have to
fantasy.
do is-
Also, what we've talked about forever is like, aside from the like prototypical characters that the main are, what everybody loves about Star Wars is the campaign setting.
Yeah.
And it basically is just candy for a role-playing thing. You can do anything in it that it can lean fantasy or sci-fi, so it just makes sense that it would be rad to do.
One of the things that I think really wrecked Star Wars as a setting, and this is just like off the cuff, out of pocket.
Number 7's going to blow your mind.
I'm just saying, like, I think one of the main things that really like fucked it up was when they decided on the scale of the Galactic Senate and everything. Like, I think like originally the vibe was supposed to be kind of like Dune, where like the Empire is like the only thing in the galaxy, right? Like it's like the main force that exists.
Sure, massive.
And I feel like when Star Wars was at its best in terms of like a setting was before the prequels, when George Lucas hadn't decided that like every single planet that exists meets in like a room exactly like a democracy on Earth, and that they all have like a representative. Because
I guess like there was a Senate because it gets disbanded, but you don't have any concept of like
yeah,
how finite
and
that is.
But just locking it into that kind of shape where like every single alien can come like wear a gown on Coruscant, and like it's kind of childish. It's kind of like a little bit more like how Star Trek is kind of like they kind of like on the show back in the day. Star Trek was just like everybody's just like kind of like a person. So like when you go out to another planet, it's like there's a bakery.
But like the interesting thing is if you're doing a campaign, you don't want to do any of that shit. You want to be like, all right, there are 4 of you. You all start in a cantina, and there's a bounty, and you're going after this thing. It's literally just D&D it,
Right.
But then it's Star Wars, and so it's like, okay, my character is like a spy, and my character is a Wookiee, and because you have all the different species, you can be all these different things. Here's my advice: never let a person be a Jedi. It always ends terribly.
I feel
They're too powerful.
I feel like it has to be earned by like a year of
you
playing.
could be a force, like someone who's proficient in the force, and maybe you have some sort of like, oh, I have a power, like I could jump really high, or I could push things, or I could have like I could see a little bit in the future. Give them little things, And then if they want as a character to pursue that, then it's like, well, you got to find someone who can teach you. But I don't know how you're going to do that. And then if you start learning, depending on the time setting, an Inquisitor could come find you, or, like you could have, if you're doing like first ordery things, or you could do it 500 years in the past. You could do it 10,000. You could do whatever you want.
It takes a generous player to play a Jedi in most stories. I feel like you need to be either like really good friends with the whole group if you're going to bring a Jedi.
That's why we
had
when we did Edge of Eternity.
Save Jedi characters
Echoes
to
of
be
Eternity.
like the DM's character that can assist in certain ways, but doesn't like.
Yeah,
we had a Jedi in our story, but she wasn't a Jedi. She was just like
a Force.
She was Force sensitive, and then another character, Sam's character, was a Clone Wars era trooper who's when like the Senate died, he hooked up and his wife was a Jedi, and then she got killed, and so he looks after the girl who's like kind of has Force powers. I was like, that's fun. That's a way to play. And I think that, you could do all that stuff, but I think it's more fun to have characters go up against like end of Rogue One style, where it's like we're all normal people, and then a Force user shows up, because it gives you the real true feeling of like what a Force user is, which is a superhero.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're just people in space, which is a different vibe. There's so many source books, and there's so many things you can use to really up the experience. And again, like we were saying, most people know what Star Wars is, basically. If you can understand the concept of rebels versus some overarching authoritarian imperial faction, then you get it. You understand.
Yeah.
But there's still like the one we did was like just bounty hunting. Like it doesn't even have to like it truly has anything.
Yours was a casino heist.
Want.
Yeah.
Just there's cooler tech or whatever.
I just wish going back to the government thing just for a second. I just wish like that it didn't lock like
but it doesn't. It does. There's many. The Imperial Senate is based up of planets that were welcomed into the Senate, but there's many planets that are simply not. There is no senator from Jakku,
right? But my point is like by making the galaxy unmysterious in this way, right?
But they didn't. They left literally one half of the galaxy is completely uncharted.
I know, but that's not what that's never what we get. We get like it's like I'm talking about like the whole prequel series, for example, is like.
But I think that's also Lucas trying to say this was a different era where things were more civilized.
100%. I just mean from a storytelling perspective as a setting, right? Like all the episodes of the Clone Wars, it's like you get to go to these planets and meet these cultures and see things, but because it's so locked in as the setting that like the Senate is like here and everything because the Senate's at war, the entire everywhere that the galaxy is war. But
the problem
there's no Game of Thrones. Like you can't think about like the knowledge of like it's all just gonna end up being this isn't a main deal. Everybody's just
he set
making
that up in
stuff
like the first movie literally almost starts with they disbanded the Imperial Senate. So like at some point he had to deliver on a Senate.
Yeah,
and, it is what it is.
I don't even mind that. I just think like if we're talking about from a tabletop perspective, right? For a really long time in Star Wars, there was like 20 to 30 years where there was no Senate. We didn't know what the Senate was like, right?
Sure.
You could imagine a version of the Star Wars galaxy where Coruscant is the center of this sort of like human civilization, but maybe over here there's a whole other situation. And we don't piss those guys off because they're over here.
But there definitely is.
I mean, there is in the sense that like maybe it's out there and there's like a few stories here and there.
There's that hegemony that's over in this other area.
There's a few stories
and
here and there that refer to that stuff, but in terms of where Star Wars points its camera all the time, we're never like learning about that stuff. They've locked the government and the shape of
sure. But the brilliance, of like what Davis was talking about, is you can ignore that. You don't have to talk about the Senate. You could literally be, we are 4 backwater bums. And we're about to go on an adventure, and we might never once talk about the Empire or the Rebellion. We might get caught up with like Glup Shido and his weird gang, and then that's our story. And like that's the adventure.
I just wish in the real Star Wars there was 15 other things in the galaxy that were just as important as the Empire versus the Rebels, and that were bothering other people's lives, and that were like.
But that's the fun is you can make that because
you can.
Star Wars. as a setting, you can literally, if you run a campaign long enough, you could make a villainous faction. You can have your version of like Red Dawn or whatever the hell they were. You can make whatever. That's the whole point of the RPG. And like, yeah, while you're correct that it's hampered by some of the more factual things, ignore it. It's your campaign. Have fun.
Yeah, I just that's just my like hot take on like.
You could set it when the Senate's disbanded, so you don't even have to talk about it.
I just wish that they opened that up a little bit. I wish that they left it. I wish they left space a little bit more mysterious when in the year 2000.
You could also just do a campaign where you go into the unexplored regions.
Yeah,
and then you don't know anything.
Yeah. Let's jump over to discussion post number one.
So we're on Star Cave of Thomboka. This was a book about a big cave in the middle of space. Just as a quick, like there was like these like thought whale things,
Flying guys.
And then the Empire caught wind of it, and they wanted to exploit them for resources. And there was a big war, and they found out they were really powerful. And they're like a million bajillion years old, and they never saw any other life forms until Lando.
Lando pulled the old, "Am I dead? No, I'm not."
Yeah. And the robot was the chosen one, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. The basic question was just like, now that it's wrapped up, how do you guys feel about how it like answered all the questions or didn't, and the writing? And
I'm still shocked it was written so quickly.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's like,
I can't believe, like, that is a fast write for a book.
I wish I could like do that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that is, even though it isn't like the best writing on earth.
Yeah.
The ability to do it is so shocking to me. I can't believe he pounded that. That's like me.
Dude, that guy would have been an incredible StarCraft player with that APM. Russell says, permission to use Star Cave of Thomboka is a strange and interesting conclusion to the Lando trilogy. I found myself enjoying it the most of the three books, yet was often confused by its narrative. After so much that felt like treading water or half-baked ideas in the previous books, having concrete conclusions to storylines and answers was much appreciated, at least by me. I do think the book was quite confusing at times, though. Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention, but at several points, I wasn't sure whether the one and other were also somehow related to the Oswaft elders. Gotta be honest, I didn't figure out they weren't the same people until the second or third time the one and other show up. Personally, I didn't clock that till
By design.
by the end.
By design,
It is
though. Yeah,
clearly
yeah.
like supposed to do that, but yeah. There is also the issue of far too many changes in perspective and storylines to wrap up.
That I agree with.
Yeah, within a very short book, we are introduced in and concluding Lahisu and the Oswaft, resolving Lando's conflict with Roker Gepta, finishing the Vuffy Ra storyline, expanding the character of Klin Shanga, and resolving the storyline with Audefa Wet as well. That is a lot of moving parts for such a short book. All that said, though, I was engaged by the prose and overall storyline and imagination in it kept my interest. I think the Oswaft are far more interesting than the space whales from Rebels. As an aside, while the defeat of Roker Gepta is a bit anticlimactic, it was kind of fitting for him to be a sort of secretly pathetic being posing as greatness. To wrap up my thoughts on the trilogy as a whole, I simultaneously feel that it was full of issues, many of which were discussed in the podcast or in the comments. Yet at the same time, I don't know if I would have wanted it differently. Kind of glad we got this kind of story with Lando here. It really felt like something that only could have been made at this specific time.
I feel like the sort of unserious way that a story with the tone of this book deals with its lore is very incompatible with the sort of mindset that we approach like licensed media with as like experienced readers of licensed media in 2025. I think that the fact that Lando's story has no edges as to what's like real and what's fake, it's kind of similar to me like how I feel like a lot of people reacted to that Love and Thunder Thor movie, kind of. Because again, like I say, whenever we talk about that movie, that like, it's a fine movie that it was made for no one. It's just like, I don't know who was going to be excited about that Thor movie, you know, when he made it. But in the end, what he delivered was a very like playful, sort of like rambunctious sort of reality where you're playing sort of silly with the details of a universe, right? Because you're trying to tell a story in this sort of fairy tale style that's sort of kind of as much about the setting as it is about the plot, where it's like the fairy tale-ness of it. You're trying to say something, and he's trying to learn something, and you're trying to be kind of unserious and flippant with details so that you can tell a entertaining story. But I feel like there's this sort of like investor mindset that comes from fans who have to tolerate, quote unquote, these types of swings a lot of the time, where it's like, well, but you can't just say, I mean, you understand that by doing this, you've created a rift where we can't, there's an inconsistency here, and and it's sort of like a hegemony that sort of like closes in around, sort of like wild readings of stuff. And I'm not saying Lando was a very, very good book series, and I'm not saying Thor: Love and Thunder
But it was
a
a
good
swing.
movie. It's a swing, and they're doing things with your toys that aren't done with these toys.
The just specifically with the Thor analogy, because I watched Thor: Love and Thunder and was like, that's cool, that's okay. Because it's Thor Ragnarok. I don't know why, like, it's the same energy as Thor Ragnarok. I don't understand why people love that one and hated that one.
People look at a character like
Thor Ragnarok was like literally shit all over the other Thor movies. Did bathos all the time.
Yeah,
like,
but
did
they
all the
said
same.
They said they were doing a movie with what's his name, the fucking dude that Christian Bale played. I forget what that character is called. And it's like,
the Necro Sword guy.
it'd be like if the movie came out and was called Batman: The Killing Joke, and it was like
Played for laughs.
like an unserious film. Yeah, like so like people were like, you wasted my character. This is a real reality that these characters exist in, and I've been waiting forever for
like
the God
Luke
Gore
to come back, and then you made him Last Jedi.
And that's exactly it. Is this exact feeling? Is it's like because there's a consequence, a perceived
Peace, Davis, peace.
It's like an imagination consequence. It's like you've changed
Another
reality.
time.
You know what I'm saying?
Another
Right?
Save the princess.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like
because when you connect things like Disney does, and everything's important, when you take a swing and it doesn't land, it ruins that connection, and now everything is tainted.
That's how Han Solo is now, or whatever.
Yes,
And,
yeah.
and with this,
Yeah.
I don't think that existed with this book. Like nobody was thinking when this book came out in 1980, whatever, that that's how Lando's going to be now. Like, and so I feel like just like a lot of people's reaction is like this, and I don't think this is even I felt like very similar to this person.
Yeah, I think the difference between like your and my opinions on this is like I am a person that when I watch things, I need it to make like my brain needs to like drift with the universe and the story, and it needs to not have any glaring things for me to like understand and care about it. And if things don't make sense, that's all I can fixate on, and it ruins it. That's not necessarily the right way to engage with media. That's just the way that my brain does. And when you play fast and loose like this, it's just like not. It's just not good. And I'll probably like not ever like it. But stepping away from the reading experience, where I'm not like frustrated about it anymore, I'm like, there's other shit that's dumb in the world too. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, we all
and
know
there's
this
great
is out
stuff
there. Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
It's
we all
just
know
when
these
I'm
types
in
of
it
things,
and
yeah.
I'm like hype. I've just read Han, and I let myself expect hopefully like a sleeper trilogy of awesomeness for this other character that I like. I'm just caught up in that, but it's like it doesn't mean it's right or wrong. So like if it doesn't bother you, that's
it's like
great.
drilling it. Like in this case, to me, it's like drilling into the lore of like Ocean's 11. Like you're like, what? Like who cares? This movie.
But with that said, I can understand if you had someone who really loved Ocean's 11,
right?
And by the time you get to like Ocean's 14 or whatever the hell, and you're like, what are they even doing?
Yeah. No, I get it. I'm not. I'm not even trying to poo-poo that.
But no, but I think you're going off of what Davis said about like I'm in it. I did the Han books, and now I'm going to read this thing, and I see things that don't make any sense. It like upsets me. I can see the same thing being with if you watch Thor Ragnarok and you're like, whoa, what a fun swing. It's so much better than those previous two Thor movies. I can't wait. He's going to do another one, dude. That's awesome. And then you go and you watch it. You're like, that's not what I wanted at all.
That's what they did
I can
with
understand
Gore the
how
God
that would
Butcher.
like piss you off.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Also, Thor Ragnarok, just to tie back to that, the first time I watched it, I was upset at how disrespectful it was. Not that the other ones were good, but anything that's like, fuck this, here's this other thing. But now, like, I do really enjoy Thor Ragnarok, and I moved past that.
Yeah. And we
and
all
in 3D, it's so awesome that Snoopy was even like,
we all know that outside of the Marvel universe, right? We all know that outside of the Marvel universe, a character can exist as a joke or
Yeah,
as a literary
yeah.
device. We know that you can just make something that's not
Shit,
like
that's all of comics.
yeah, you're not supposed to take something
Yeah.
serious all the time. Like we know that, but because there's only one chance to see Gore the God Butcher until they reboot the entire universe,
Yes.
there is a tangible, even though it's a selfish consequence, even though it's just for you and you're mad about it,
Yeah.
realistically, like the true answer is if you're not a fucking, if your brain is not just hardwired only through capitalism, you can see any story about any character and it can be equally as valid as the other one because they're just tools to make you feel things and think things and tell stories. That's why when you go to the comic shop and there's a Batman comic that's not set in continuity, you can still pick it up and read it because you can fucking understand, oh, in this one, Mr. Freeze is a chick. It doesn't
And with that logic,
matter.
you can
Yeah.
literally say Gore rocked in that movie.
Yeah.
Was the best part.
He was fucking
hands
the
down.
best. He was amazing.
And
Christian
just 'cause-
Bale is the best actor who's ever done a Marvel part.
And just because that movie featured
rad.
those screaming ass goats way too much doesn't mean Gore didn't fucking rock.
yeah, and just because he wasn't a badass murderer that Thor had to fight and like it was like all about
That
killing.
one scene when they were on the weird black and white moon was awesome. That was
Yeah.
so weird. There's things you can love and be like, look, I didn't like this. And you got to have that old Canon book club vibe, baby. You got to come at it
I was
like
gonna say, like, to tie back to stuff we were talking about earlier, like reading and has reminded me that like my headcanon can be you can just imagine they're not real. Thor is not
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
By the way,
It didn't happen.
Sorry,
Yeah.
he's not, that guy is not like a
That's
real
Christian
dude.
Bale, he's
They're-
Welsh.
It's not a documentary that they're just shooting.
It's very mean to lighting people.
Yeah.
When he's stressed.
Yeah, like
he
I don't
apologized.
like being able to extrapolate and do things with characters in your own brain that affects your physiology is powerful. It makes you the god of your own mind. So that's a good reason to like,
lock that down.
Like
lock that down,
flex
Oppenheimer.
that muscle
Yeah.
and then be like, oh, I can just like craft stuff.
Be
careful about the narratives that you craft and try to put in the world because some people are, that can lead to bad things.
If you're literally Wanda Maximoff, then
You'll make your own
that's
narrative.
Really good advice.
with chaos magic.
yes.
But you need to learn. But she actually, unfortunately, does call the magic that she does chaos magic. I
that's what
think.
she says.
That's unfortunate for my talking about this because
Yeah,
we
it's
never. As
kind
I've
of
known, as I've
embarrassing, 'cause
found,
your chaos magic
as I've
is
found with
weak
most conversations
compared
about
to
Marvel,
hers.
Marvel comics, the name is the only thing that anybody cares about. Anyway, that's what I think about Lando. I really do think that there's a lot of sort of like postmodern lenses to look through these things through that we can look through things more rather than how it strikes us.
And you can pick and choose. For example, you could be a person who loves Chewbacca as the fun sidekick, or the person who loves Chewbacca who rips apart a guy and makes a hang glider out of him.
Or as the like engineer, the
Yeah.
bioengineer, Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Or the guy who died.
Yes, was crushed by a moon.
Yeah.
The guy who is hard countered by a moon.
As we all are.
Look, for
Big-
me,
big
if
truth.
you just throw fireballs at me, that's a great. I just get it fucks me. And for Chewie, you just spam a moon at him.
I actually have a ring that I
Joel
absorb
Cox says
fire.
that throughout the trilogy of books, there have been multiple comments made on varying accuracy of the characteristics of Lando. Or the characterization of Lando, with certain aspects nailing your ideas of the smooth-talking businessman, whilst others falling into the trappings of a more generic action hero. Do you think you can combine these disparate comments and ideas into a single thesis on what Lando should be that was specifically missed by this book series? Keep in mind to only draw from what films have told or inferred on Lando's character, and if you allow a second question to be attached to this, do you think the comics so far have characterized Lando better than these books?
Yes to that one.
Did
P.S.
Lando write this question?
With now, as Joel Cox said, with now both Lando and Han having their respective trilogies out, it might be worthwhile to revisit the question from the original Marvel Years Volume 4 discussion post, Han vs. Lando. Which of the two rogues do you find more compelling? Much love for the show, Joel.
It's not so much that he's characterized differently. It's that he is literally different. Like, he is not a rich man in the way that he is a rich man in the rest of the Star Wars canon, to me. Like, what I, like, just from my perspective, talking about what was different about this Lando than the Lando that I know from the Legends canon, is that from the moment we meet him in the movies, he owns a city, world, planet.
He owned the Falcon and lost it in a card game.
He gambles with a spaceship, which is like an Elon Musk-like activity, just so you know.
Well,
Yeah.
there's also tons of people that, like, even Han is this way, where like you just blow it so you're like constantly.
Yeah, and in his own book series, right? He flippantly wasted millions of dollars off screen because it's like a fucking One Piece episode. But the point is just that like in the goddamn movies and books and the stuff that continues the Lando from the films, continues him forward, right? You really see that he is like a money-minded entrepreneur-like businessman who really is always like he's got like a thing that he's doing all the time. This Lando is like a Buddhist. He's almost like Vash the Stampede.
Almost like a libertarian.
Well, the libertarian part I feel like is still.
Sorry, that part.
I
didn't mean to throw it off.
That part is in both Landos, I think.
The difference.
I do think that is here. He does have. They all sort of start with him doing a scheme somewhere. What I think that the character. I don't know if it's a characterization failing. Like, yes, he's just not a smooth talking.
His thing is
African American coded like.
He's not
actor
a good
that's
businessman.
great doing it. It's like a libertarian writer that can't write the way that the colloquialisms that Billy D. Williams does so well. That's the thing that's missing. But like, what I'm saying is like the situations that he is in and his level of agency in them are what is to me wrong. Like, or what is wasted.
Exactly.
He and why the comics nail him 100%. Like he's like. There's always a deal to be done. He's always looking for an angle.
I think you're going to be surprised. I think you're going to be surprised about how Lando is.
No, but
we're talking about just to now.
Yeah.
Like wheeling and dealing, being smart, playing people. Even when he goes to that planet and he's like, something's up.
But
like,
he's specifically bad with money. Specifically bad at. He's like the whole like every time he's talking to himself in this trilogy of books, he's like, I am not cut out for the world of business. I like to be out in the world doing little things and fucking with people. I am not made for this. That is just the one. There's one thing that's different about the Legends Lando that we know, and it's that he is an incredible businessman who is always getting funding for things and doing things.
but also
sure,
like
It's the opposite.
I guess what is part of that they nail in that is that he is a people person. Like he loves. Like him like he wants culture. He's the
culture. Same guy.
He loves people.
He's the same guy. It's not his characterization. That's what I'm saying. It's literally just that he is a rich businessman in one reality, and in the other one, he is like a Buddhist vagabond who has money, doesn't have money. Who cares? C'est la vie. That is just not how Lando is. He wants to be an old rich man, and whenever Han sees him, Han is the guy who has never changed in his entire life, has continued to be Han Solo till he's fucking 70 years old. And Lando's like, what are you doing, dude? I own a fucking 3-planet mining operation. Like, what are you doing with your life?
But they talk about that he's like adulted up a lot by then compared to the old Lando.
I'm just saying, this Lando this Lando is like fucking Woody Guthrie. This Lando is a freedom fighter who like...
He does get his end of the movie's arc of like becoming that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he's like a much. He just.
But so does Han in his trilogy technically because they're like,
there's like
all right, we gotta go be mean again.
The difference between Han and Lando should be that Han is a guy who is reactionary, but he knows how to get out of problems. Like he has experience with like streetwise, but also he was a soldier, but also he knows how to resolve things to his benefit. And Lando is a guy who has 85 plans and he's got plans on plans. And if something doesn't go his way, he has 4 other plans to figure that out. Even just doing Cloud City, he's like, I'm going to sell you out to Vader. Vader changed the rules. Don't worry. I'm going to help you. Like, I know I'm going to. So
he's like Quark.
Yeah, like,
except for like dashing and like
I think
less of a joke.
I think this is true of
and he
Lando,
talks his way out of things.
All forms of Lando.
But like he talks his way out of things, but also he's like, I would never shoot you, but then he definitely would if he needed to. While Han is like, no, I'll shoot first. Like I'm not even gonna talk to you about it. And they're both rogues,
famously,
but they're on
different
sides of the spectrum of being a rogue. Where Lando's this sort of business savvy rogue who's out to get money, and he's gonna use that to like make a business and do stuff. And Han is a rogue who's out to get money, and he's gonna spend it on like a Twi'lek stripper. Like that's the difference.
Lando in the less proto Legends universe, the more full Legends universe.
Yeah, but this was just to like this point though.
I know, but he's talking about what we were talking about in the episode, and I'm telling you what I was talking about in the episode.
Oh.
Which is that to me, the big difference between the Lando that we saw in this, other than the fact that I feel like he was totally just...
Well, the Lando we saw in this was reactionary the entire time.
Well, what I mean is...
He was Han Soloing.
That's
He
what I'm
was just
saying.
like a guy that bumbled through his own story.
On the inside, right? I don't believe that this... Like, if the character that we see here in the books, I feel like is more on par with the Lando that we see eventually in Rise of Skywalker, where he's like in some weird situation where he's like alone in like a fucking like weird like space Diwali.
Well, look, I don't even like. I feel like there's no way that Lando would allow himself to get to that, which is an issue I have with Lando in that movie.
But that's exactly it. I think the Lando from these books doesn't care whether he's a millionaire or he's a pauper. He is Lando all the time. But the one from the later legends, I'm just saying, just to break it down for me specifically,
okay.
The big difference is that the one that kind of like lived on is like a capitalist who wants money and like lets his desire for money often like not completely make him do the right moral thing every time.
Sure. I mean, like,
they'll be like, you've been basing this off like killing children. He's like, only one kid every 1,000 kids. Like, you know, like Lando can like be that guy in the...
No, I agree. And that's what definitely makes him fun in some of the things where like anytime the Empire is involved, he's with the Empire for some part of that.
Yeah.
For some part of that, he's like, well,
the libertarian Lando Calrissian from this book would not ever do that. He's like slavery, you are dead to me. Like, you know what I mean? He's like a idealistic libertarian, which is like, I feel like the opposite. He had like the opposite character growth of Indiana Jones. He was like,
okay,
it does not belong in a museum. Like, is like how he ended up. If we're saying it's one guy, right? But I just think they just slightly changed his character a little bit.
Look, the best.
It does. This belongs in the hands of a private collector.
I should own this.
The best Lando portrayal ever was in the New Canon book club when we read that one where he like shows
Charles
up,
Sewell, yeah,
bangs the moth of a planet, and is like, "I'm taking this orb," and she's like, "No, Lando."
She's
He's
like, "I
"No
love
one-"
you." Yeah,
yeah. He's like, "No one will ever believe that I just like hooked up with the moth of a planet and then took her orb," and I'm like,
he's like, "The Emperor's yacht. What are you talking about?"
like, that is. The best like 5 issues or whatever of Lando, because it's just so purely distilled. It feels like Billy D. Williams is saying those lines and just hamming it up, and that's perfect.
I think
well,
the reader,
like I think this is gonna sound blasphemous because I do love Han. He is a better foil for a lot of the main cast because Han is just like a hero.
His morals are
doesn't
good.
want you to be a hero, but like when he and Luke are like doing missions in some of the comics, and he's like, it's just their dual personalities are hilarious, and him being like the chicken shit compared to the hero, like it just makes for more interesting moments. Sometimes
he doesn't really understand doing stuff that you don't want to do.
I mean, Lando literally is the guy who is like, look, I'm looking out for me, but the Empire's bad for business. So yeah, I'll fly this damn ship into the Death Star because otherwise I won't be able to make any money.
And you know what? Yeah, and you know what? Feels kind of good.
And that's why when that scene where they're like General Calrissian and Han's like, what the shit? And Lando's like, hey man. Yeah. I think it's funny because Lando's like, I'll be your general. Because I know in some way at the end of this, it's going to benefit me to be like, I was a general in the rebellion when we saved remember everyone?
Yeah. And I think it's amazing in the movies, you can imagine that the Lando that you see, the one who does the little salute thing, you know, you can imagine that at the end of that movie, like he's fucking wearing Han Solo's clothes for fuck's sake. You can imagine that he just,
no one's going to talk about it.
He might not have a house, you know, he might not, like, you don't know, like the real Billy D. Williams.
At least he had time to grab those 2 statues.
Look, when the real Billy D. Williams was interviewed, he was like living in a loft apartment, like painting or something in the middle of nowhere.
Dude.
Like Lando.
I love Billy D.
I'm just saying,
as much as I
Lando
love
the
Lando.
character.
Yeah.
Lando the character is very much like either he walks off and he's actually secretly a homeless person, and like that's hilarious, or he goes to bed in like the nicest apartment in Coruscant. But you know, I think the thing that we all agree on is common of both of those interpretations of Lando and what we like about Lando. But I just think factually, there is just a big difference in like where he went and what kind of character he was on the inside originally. But he ended up like people did realize, oh, he's like the like more greasy Han. He's like a little bit more icky, but he's also more sexy. He has like a little bit more.
He seems more refined, but he's not as like
he's actually
noble.
He's actually more out for himself.
Yeah,
but actually is also cooler.
Like if in these books it was Lando at 19, that'd be a different story. He's already lost the Falcon.
Yeah.
So this is very close to the movies. So like, you know, it's tough. It's tough to be like, he's a different person. But if he was a kid or a teen or early 20s, then that's a different experience. And we could have said, oh yeah, maybe he was like this.
Yeah, I just don't think this was like the pre-writing. Like, I don't know exactly when Lando shows up. I'm pretty sure he's in Heir to the Empire. You know,
yeah.
I don't think that like Timothy Zahn was like, how do I grow the character from the Lando Calrissian trilogy into this Lando? I think he just said, you know what, I'm going to look.
Do you think he's
I'm gonna
still
go,
sad about Buffy Raw being gone?
I think he's just going to go from the movies and just do whatever the fuck he wanted with Lando. And I just think that's really it. I think we're basing our understanding on the same performance by Billy D. Williams and just understanding.
From this point on, every time we see Lando, it's going to be movie Lando. It's not going to be like how we interpret Lando.
It's going to be rich Lando now. Yeah, like probably the next time we see him, he's going to be rich.
Unless he shows up in Droids, in which case I'd be shocked.
What? Of anybody, like I wouldn't be surprised if he did show up in Droids, but I don't know shit about any of those cartoons. That is going to be the craziest.
That's the one where my favorite GIF on the internet. You can look it up. Look up R2D2 guitar.
Oh man,
and it's him just wailing on a guitar. It's great.
Back to the Q&A. This is from read a book instead. They said you could read the name on air.
You can read the name instead.
Question: do you think Star Wars benefits from having something to say about modern political trends? Obviously, the original trilogy and the prequels were very forthright in their political commentary, and I was wondering if your journey through the history of Star Wars, you have found yourselves thinking that media is at its strongest when it has something to say. Thank you for your podcast, and please have a good day.
I don't think media is
Hashtag treats for Smitty.
Streets for Smitty. Oh, he comes into our streams all the time. I don't think that it's Star Wars that has something to say, right? I think George had something to say with the scripts of one of his movies a little bit, or in a little bit of his world building, and I think maybe he has something to say like fascism is the bad guys. Maybe it's like the deepest that there's a unifying something to say in Star Wars, but like Andor definitely has something to say. Right?
Sure.
Some parts of Star Wars has something to say, and I don't think media is strong based on its message at all. I think actually message conveyance is much more important. The reason we like that one Lando story, for example, is not because it has something to say about, and I think what we're talking about when we say something to say in this conversation is like commentary on real life political issues, right? That you guys are getting the same vibe from this question?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think, like, to me, what makes good media is something that does what it sets out to do. And, you know, that's why I like a movie like Top Gun Maverick, even though it's like a dum-dum movie in terms of plot.
Love that movie.
It's like Rocky.
Loved it.
It's like Rocky. It's like, it's not like you're dumb if you like it. It's just like a really straightforward thing, and it doesn't pretend to be more than that, and it succeeds at that. And
it's the Dragon Quest of Air Force movies.
Yes, exactly. And Andor works because Tony Gilroy legitimately had something to say. It wasn't like, we're going to make like a X-Men, and the X-Men are always, they always have like a cause, so we're going to do like a cause. It's like, he took the note that we always say, which is that Star Wars is a setting, and he set up a situation within that tapestry, you know, with facts, and, you know, it's the history of a fictional universe. When you look at history, right, you can tell any story of the same events. You can tell the civil rights movement from the fucking white people side, and all of a sudden it's like the rise of the, you know, like lower class, you know, for the people that are in charge of the country right now, you know, who don't care what color your skin is, you know, you can look at history from various angles, right? And so same thing with Star Wars, like a successful project with a message is especially effective at conveying a message that resonates with people. But there's really good poems about a guy looking at a fucking cat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like Star Wars benefits for like, does it benefit from something to say about modern political trends is interesting because like, I think what you were saying, like it wasn't a modern, like it was framed in World War II.
It's about fascism.
In the late
about
70s.
fascism.
But it's like, it's kind of what all things are like. We are the same. People are the same on a hardware level as we've been forever. And so things that are just, they happen all the time throughout, like, it's so overly said, but people always seem to forget that, like, those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it. It's like, it's the shit repeats because we're the same fucking thing.
Yeah,
and we only live one lifespan as an individual, and then we die, and then the next generation makes the mistake. So, like, it's not political, but it's like Star Wars is a, like, hero's journey. So it is a very broad story that taps into a lot of people, and even on the like universal good versus evil, fascism versus, not that, like, that's not modern. It's just true throughout history, so it rings true. I agree, like, a thing is not good or bad if it's hyper modern and it's political. It's like, what is the message, and is the person making the message, do they feel it? Like, Tony Gilroy feels it, and you could, like, that guy, like, has stuff to say, but other people could try and do an Andor, and they're given that, and they don't have it, and so then it comes out inauthentically, and that's, like, I think what ultimately makes it, like, is that the message, it's not the message, it's how it's conveyed, how you, like, assemble the pieces in such that, like, a person watching it is shown the things in a non, like, straw man-y way, like, that makes these conflicts, these issues, and these things, like, alive, and so you can kind of, like, see them play out in front of you in a way that's removed from the specific words that your political climate uses, that you have all these premeditated thoughts about. So it can benefit from modern political trends. I think that it's such a broad thing and wasn't at the time actually benefited its...
Yeah, I mean, there's even ignoring politics. You can go back to the original trilogy and talk about, like, in Empire, Yoda is basically talking about spirituality to Luke. And he's like, it doesn't matter what you look like or who you are, you're just a fleshy thing. But really, we're beings
all
of
one.
light.
Yeah, we're all one.
And we are like, and that's a whole other thing. And that's a puppet saying that.
That
and you
sounds
could make
rote.
that entire thing a totally different experience.
It's a religion for some people.
But it clearly had a message
It is
that was...
it's like Eastern philosophy,
Yeah.
but you can lift rocks.
But, like, there was clearly a message that they wanted to say there, which was, like, yeah, this is more than just you have a lightsaber and can move shit. It's about what the Force is. And before it became midichlorians, it was, like, a spiritual thing. And I think that's, that was a message they were trying to get across in that film.
I think it's pretty... it's not completely objective, right? But
Sure.
I think it's pretty objective that if you are good at creating art or media, as I think this question calls it, media, right? Like,
Do you find yourself thinking that media is at its strongest when it has something to say?
Honestly, yes. I think
something
everyone
to
who
say.
creates something, it doesn't matter if it's what they're saying is important. Everyone who creates something created it because they were trying to express themselves
Yes.
in some way.
Yes.
And that expression doesn't have to be, like, world changing.
something to say, like interpreting it as just like having an intent with your artwork. That's, yes, I agree with that. But if we were, like I said at the beginning, interpreting this as something to say, meaning tackling some part of our real life as a social allegory, like for being in the moment and speaking on the modern times, I really don't think that necessarily. I think if you have 50 favorite movies and they're all like a social allegory for like the current time,
Sure.
I feel like you have like probably there's something about your personality that's creating this preference.
Like, technically, you could say George Lucas had something to say in the prequels that he really liked old-timey movies.
yes, like,
And he's like, hey, everyone, I like this, and I want to show you how much I like this. This is what we're doing.
And I don't think that, like, and that's the thing, having something to say isn't the thing. It's that George Lucas isn't very good at it.
Sure.
Like, you know what's a good movie like that? The Artist.
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, like, having something to say is the bare minimum for separating art from content.
Yeah.
Yes,
Getting good,
100%.
Getting good means you're probably going to have something
But
to say.
having something to say does not mean that it's like like that doesn't necessarily, but it's just like if you don't have something to say, then you are just making audio visual filler, like of some kind, and that can still be cool. There are still like that doesn't necessarily mean that there's something to be gained from there, but
I would say most things that are really good are usually based on some sort of pure intentional feeling from the people.
and also based on
it.
how people are, even if you don't think you're saying something with something, you like your thoughts, your prejudices, your
Right.
beliefs all come out through there, so you are kind of saying something.
Yeah, like why you chose to shoot it that way, or say that thing, or use that color, or paint that. Everything you do in the creation process should be, I'm saying something about myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even saying, do you think that something that has something to say is stronger, says more about you than about the movie?
I think something
like,
stronger
whether
usually has something to say.
like how we work are like you interpret. You're in charge of everything that you think and see, basically, whether you know it or not.
Your perception of it is based on your thinking.
Yeah, like you can say, somebody can say something, like people do this all the time where they like have a strong reaction to something and that's like, that's absolutely not what I was saying with this thing. But it's like, you can't stop yourself. You're basically, do you guys ever like early Google Translate where you were like, translate this to another language and back to another language? It's literally what happens whenever you interpret anything anyway. So ultimately it is you.
Did you know that Puff the Magic Dragon is not about weed?
False.
No. Look it up. Isn't that fucked up?
What's it about?
A dragon.
Who smokes weed though, right?
No, the dragon, Puff the Magic Dragon is
Wait.
not a weed song.
Does the kid smoke weed and then see the dragon?
Nope, just a nice song about a dragon. The artist's intent was just to talk about a nice dragon.
But he lived by the sea.
There was a whole...
It's a beautiful song, actually.
There's like I forgot what this kind of movement is called, but I guess the original Wizard of Oz is this kind of thing where it's like stories made that are intentionally void of any sort of like, they try to not have any stance or viewpoint. It's just
YouTube.
an imaginative
YouTube
thing.
content.
Yeah, no.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
like vines. Some of
Yeah.
the best vines were the ones that made not a lick of sense and were 10 seconds long of nonsense.
There's
and you're
nothing
like, yeah,
wrong
all right.
with being nonsensical, but
Sure.
like, I mean, you're telling me the Wicked Witch of the West and the Good Witch of the East, like,
I will say, regardless of when it has something to say or not, what I have gotten into recently, and probably talked about this, is like the movie trends make films these days just basically, they're supposed to be literal, just like this is a sequence of events. This is like almost a fictional retelling of events. There's no metaphor. It's just the Avengers went here and did this, and like fables, like looking at things as that you leave being like, the thing leaves me with questions, and I am ingesting and digesting all of this movie for days after it's over, thinking about it. Like, I think that media is stronger when it leaves you thinking, regardless of whether it's a strong modern political message or not, but just when a piece of media like leaves you with thoughts, maybe you've learned some new insights or something.
What was that movie we saw where we went to the theater and we were sitting at the bar and the guy was like,
Silence.
you guys are me yeah, like that movie was,
I didn't even see the movie. I just remember you guys were like,
while sitting,
I
was
put
not
you
there.
in.
No, I think that was
you,
Shro.
Okay.
Yeah. Like,
Dan, you were like in there with me in that.
there was a moment where the bartender was like, you guys are going to come out and you're going to hate this movie. You're going to think about it for days. That's literally what happened. I walked out of that theater like, what the hell did I watch? And
I
then
was so pissed.
I was thinking about it for days later, just like, oh my God.
people don't even understand.
stuck with me.
People don't even understand what is attractive about that happening.
Yeah.
We talk about it on here, and I know that it makes sense to you and it makes sense to me what is valuable about that. But I really think that like a lot of it also just comes down to the fact that we don't even know like what exactly we're supposed to like about that anymore. And I'm telling you what it is that like when your brain has to think about stuff,
Yeah.
when your brain has to like interpret stuff, that actually makes your brain like better. It makes your brain like work. Like, you know how you have to like take your dog and like run him around. You know, at least like if
Everything is a muscle, either literally or figuratively.
I have a crazy dog, so I really have to take him out a lot. But like,
hey, treats for Smitty.
Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying. Like your machine, like we're not all just a bunch of fucking wackos who like study and analyze media.
I genuinely think that going back
We kind of are, but not in like
in the way that
not because we like put on our professor outfits and go
in the
do
way
it.
that human consciousnesses are all separate expressions of one giant unifying force, if that's what you want to call it, or Evangelion juice, or whatever you want to call it.
The red juice,
that we're all part of, you know, because
we're all
of,
unique pieces of the universe observing itself.
right. So media, stories, the collected fiction of our brains that we have created, to me, is the same thing. It's an intertextual network that you can dip your hands in down to your elbows and pull it out and find the way things work and spread it out and make connections. And there's highways that you can take, and there's all this lattice work and support work that's been built by people for thousands of years who speak the same language as you so that you can understand this.
And I think people crave that, even if they don't know it. Going back to what Davis was saying about Avengers and how it's like they go here, they do this, they do this, they do this. If you look at
you can do Avengers.
But I'm saying, like, if you go to Infinity War was a movie where when that ended, a large portion of the viewing audience was like, Thanos was right, dude. And that, I think, is because that was a character who said, think about overpopulation, think about the way the universe is, think about like all these things. And he's like, I'm just trying to save all of us. And some people saw that and were like, oh shit, I'm going to think about that for a hot minute.
Rather and they voted for him.
yeah. But like that kind of idea of, oh, this character made you think in a movie where there's like, it's just action scene, action scene, action scene. And suddenly you have a character who's like, I'm trying to do the right thing by y'all, and you're all trying to stop me. And in his point of view, I think that's what makes, like, at least in that movie,
that's what a villain is. That's like across fucking 1 million years of cinema and media and books and everything. That's a great villain. Is a villain that does something for a good reason that he thinks is a good reason.
It's like way easier. I mean, a lot of actors talk about why they like to play villains more. Is you're like, the villains are the only ones that are interesting in movies. Like, most heroes are status quo defenders, and like, if you live long enough, you're kind of like, status quo is not always great. Like, they often have a really good point. They just have to then do something crazy to make them not.
I think the point that I'm trying to make is that it doesn't require a certain type of media quality to dig down into the media and like to see how it works and dissect it and interpret it through a million different lenses. You can take a feminist lens to any work. You can take a racism lens to any work. You can take a communist lens to any work, to a fascist lens to any work, and you can relate it to the work, right? You can do anything to any work. You can analyze it. But the thing that makes it quote unquote good or whatever, or stronger as this question puts it, I think, is that when you drill into it, you find not like a empty mountain that's hollow, but a built structure that is thought through and is a thing that somebody made for a purpose. And I think when that exists, you know, and sometimes that really thought through purpose can be like, sound good, bang, 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 I like that sound. Or like, guys shoot, I love a shoot guy movie. Like John Wick is an amazing movie. And it's not because, you know, I can analyze it the same way that I can analyze a Terrence Malick movie. It's because there is layers of enjoyment built into John Wick. And if you look at it, there's a pyramid of tradition and skill that it sits upon. You know what I mean? Like stunt work in John Wick.
It's less of violent, like a Schwarzenegger-esque movie, and more of gun ballet. Yeah. Like, it's beautiful to watch this man dance around and murder the shit out of people. It's amazing.
You could almost look at John Wick and say some people are worth pissing off because it makes beautiful things happen.
Don't mess with that guy's dog.
That's one way that you could look at the movie. You could say maybe we are all we're all fucked up because we let this dope ass movie let us accept the cost of a dead dog.
Or it shows that the connection between a man and an animal can be so deep that you would gun down every last bitch who mess with you.
Right. And
honestly, that's why people love this movie.
Look, it's actually quite inspiring because the Baba Yaga, he's like infamous for being like the most soulless, the least, that everybody has a line of humanity.
Yeah.
You can look at it as that kind of thing where like even the worst person can be made whole or can find love and that can change it all.
Yeah, and the more legit that sounds to your own self, the better you are at this job.
Hell yeah, dude.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying about something with something to say. I think it's inherent in good work that there's some inspiration at the heart of it, and I think that's why I like things like comic books is because it's like a guy wrote it with like a guy drawing it, and a few other people worked on it to make the colors and ink it and stuff like that.
Dude,
maybe
Glynis.
sometimes. Yeah, exactly.
She's
but I'm
there
just saying, like
doing the Lord's work with the colors
compared to like
beautiful.
the even like on a like the even the amount of people like on a good ass movie. Like I don't know what the last like really good AAA movie I saw. Let's say like a Nosferatu.
Dune 2.
Let's say like a Nosferatu. Yeah, Dune 2, a movie that's really working on some levels, right? Like
Nosferatu was
hundreds of people,
rad.
Hundreds, thousands of people worked on that fucking movie to make it look like that. And I think people hear strange readings of things, or like you can like make Star Wars look really bad if you like look at like how they really treat Princess Leia. Like, is this a feminist work? And then you say things like, she's just a sex object. She's just and people go, what? No, she's not. And it's like, don't just relax. Like Han Solo's not actually dead. None of this is real. You're just thinking about something. You've now let Star Wars connect you to the web.
Well, why was she relaxing in the prison cell looking all sexy like that?
Yeah,
What's that about?
Didn't she just get tortured? You're like, it's a moment from cinema. It's a reveal. She's laying down on a couch. She's supposed to look like various pieces of art from over centuries. Like,
but in the same breath, you could also say leader of the rebellion, and she is so nonplussed about being captive because she's like, F the Empire. She's relaxing. Like you can change it any direction you want.
How Neo
also, after you ever like your body releases a bunch of like weird chemicals after you go through shock. So maybe she's just like high. She got like super runner's high.
But the point is, none of them are real. None of them are true.
Sure.
And like I'm saying, how like Neo when he can see the Matrix, like it's like he can see like the code of everyone and like how they're all made, and you can like. They do that crazy thing in that movie where they like are in the ship looking at the fucking Matrix and they're like, oh, look, there he is. He's walking. You're like, what the fuck? That is what it is like to be able to actually read. You know what I mean? Like when you actually have
media literacy?
Yeah. And it's not just like reading a lot of stuff that gives you media
literacy. You mean just literacy? Or do you mean
like reading. Like, no, I mean like
literally just literacy.
Understanding like what is in front of you on the page is not like some attestment to a reality somewhere else. It is just words that are making you think of something, and it's all words making you think of something. And like, we should think about things more like that. Like they should be more like a goo that we're building into thought shapes for a second, and then it falls down because that world doesn't exist when we're not looking at it.
So you're saying you should read the way you would make a tower of mashed potatoes?
Yes. Like you should read in the way where
that's real.
You should read in the way where you put your hand in a river.
I know it sounded like I was kissing the microphone there, but that was me making it.
I've seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind, so now I get it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. There's a lot of different fish in the river. Everybody uses it for a different purpose. Yada yada yada.
David Lynch, Mindfish, baby.
Dude, honestly, one of my favorite ideas about creativity. Anyway, carry on. New question.
Hello there, Alex, Davis, and Jesse. My name is Samson. I am one of your British contingents.
Yo.
I have been, or as you would say, hello, governor.
Oh,
hey, as I would say, yeah.
I meant as Samson would say.
Bruv.
Derailed. I have been a listener since a long time ago in a new Canon book club far, far away. Hey, you want to copyright for us? And I'm incredibly grateful for all your Star Wars insights over the years. Your thoughts and opinions about the Star Wars universe and storytelling, like my own, have morphed and changed and taken on many forms since you've been making a Star Wars podcast together, like Roker Jepta. That was dumb. I added that. Editorializing. I shouldn't write.
His heart is in his fucking
Over
asshole.
the years, you've looked at Star Wars as a vehicle for telling stories through many different lenses, which reflect how you're feeling about this idea, that you love at the time of looking. My question is twofold. Since the prequels, since the sequels, since Star Wars New Canon Book Club first flew off the digital shelves, Since you started Star Wars Old Canon Book Club, throughout all of the Star Wars ups and downs and overs and outs since it exploded onto our screens in 1977, how do you think Star Wars has changed for you? And how do you think your experience with Star Wars has changed you as a person over time?
I don't think Star Wars has changed for me at all.
I was going to say the same thing.
Like, it's Star Wars I knew back in the 90s that Star Wars was something different for everyone. And I was proven that when the prequels came out.
Pussy. Star Wars is one thing. It's rad, and it's for me and my boys.
And playing
I remember
Halo
watching the
and drinking
prequels and being
Monster.
like, it's all right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to care about this. And it's interesting because...
You went a little sheave there for a second.
Yes. But it's interesting that when Disney bought it and everything was stopped, and they're like, from this point on, everything is canon. For some reason, I talked myself into being like, this is important. Now it matters. When for a decade and a half, it did not affect me at all. I'd read a book and like, that was fun. I'd move on with my day. And then suddenly it was like, this is important. Everything's connected. When they restarted it, it was just the movies that existed and mattered, and maybe like 2 books. And I was like, okay, I can get on the ground floor and experience this new adventure, and everything matters. And it wasn't until towards the end of that experience I was like, I screwed up. Like, I'm the problem. I made the mistake there. It really should have been what it was, which was some books I'd read. Like, we've talked about this before. I did not like the later Star Wars books. So I just stopped reading them. And I was like, doesn't matter. That did not happen. Don't care. That will never affect me.
Yep.
And that's the way it was for a lot of people. You would pick which books you wanted. Like, some people would be like, you know what? I don't want to read that trilogy book. I'm going to go do something else. Or this game that came out, I'm not going to play that. I don't care. And suddenly, yeah, I bought into the hype that was like, yo, everything matters.
All of it, yeah.
And yeah, that was foolish. And I think at the beginning, back when I started falling in love with Star Wars, it wasn't about that. It was about just like, oh, wow, that was fun.
It's become a discussion topic for me more. That I think is the only thing. Like,
We are doing a podcast.
yeah, but I mean, like, genuinely, like, I selfishly, like, as much as I was talking from the beginning of this podcast about how little what you like and dislike as a person matters to, like, being able to talk about something and engaging with it, and, like, shouldn't prevent you from being positive or negative about something just because you're, like, being petty against it and what it did to your time on this earth. I don't know why people are that way, but, like, the reason I keep coming back to Star Wars in a private way the whole time has just been texture, like, flavor, aesthetic. I like the movies. I think the movies are really good. Like, the original 3 movies, like, really were important to me and like, made me think about imagination stuff because they're fantasy movies, and it's like an updated Knights and Wizards,
but in space.
That's exactly what I mean. Like, it's just that, and I've never seen it as anything more than that. I never take. I don't know why. I think it's because I used to go to the library all the time, so I would just read I could read like 3 books a day. I don't know why. I don't know why, but I just like didn't see it as. I don't own it in any way. It's like an old temple that I found the writing on the wall. I just like it because I think it's interesting, and as I've gotten older, as I've gone out of my 20s, I used to hang out mostly with people that like make art and have no money and play in punk bands and are comedians and perform every night. And that's just not like my friend group anymore, right? Like I work.
Ugh, bards.
No, I just. Well, I'm just saying, like I used to be in that world all the time, and everybody was into the same things that I was into, and we were all being, I was in the English department, so like every single person in my class was like reading books like I was. I was taking literally like modern English courses and talking for hours with my professor about fucking the moderns, like Ernest Hemingway or fucking Finnegan's Wake or some shit like that, whatever. And I don't have that anymore. Like I don't have like a peer group of people who
You just have us assholes.
Well, what I mean is
Yikes.
Star Wars for
Rapping
me,
about the wars.
But it's not you guys. It's like in general, like Star Wars is something that there's only a few things that people really have like thought through, nuanced opinions on anymore that are widely held enough that you can talk about them. And like, Marvel, I feel like everybody just thinks it sucks. Like people kind of like the Marvel characters in like a selfish way, but nobody's like, they're making great films right now. Star Wars though, is really awesome because from jump, it has been so varied and all over the place, and they've tried so many different
Since the
things.
beginning, it's been all over the place.
It's so sloppy and wacky, and I just feel like there's so many different things that people get out of it, and I just think like, I don't know, like the value of it for me has been in letting me talk about these things that I could never find a way to talk to my audience about through anything else. Nobody has the patience to listen to me talk about
Media literacy in a Let's Play.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we do talk about it a little bit, like the older and grumpier we get, and the fact that we're like over 200 episodes into Elden Ring. But like, you know, the conversation about the game dries up after a while. But like, I just feel like there's something really specific about Star Wars that really lets everybody talk. And I think that the toxicity being pulled out of it has been really great now for me, like in terms of this show and kind of being able to like kind of be out of the closet about what I like about Star Wars without having to like fight someone, you know, because we're all kind of like refugees now.
Yeah.
We're all like media refugees, you know, we're all over 35. The media machine has moved on without us. We're left with memories of a time when people cared about what we cared about. So, you know, I don't know. I feel like Star Wars is a good middle ground for that. But for my personal self, I just like the lightsabers and I like Luke's taped up shoes. I like the dirty sort of look of everything. I really liked those Tom Veitch Jedi, the ancient Jedi when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I had just access to whatever I wanted of Star Wars. It seemed endless to me. A lot of that is so subjective.
Yeah. I think for me, what's changed is it's like, I've come back around. Like when I was a kid, it was just this wonderful mental place to be, like another universe that I could like live in. And it was so exciting. And then new pieces of Star Wars media just like expanded that. And then at some point, because of my job and because also like, I don't know, again, I'm old enough to that being a nerd when I was a kid was not a cool thing to be. It was I didn't hide it, but it wasn't like...
We got like bullied still.
Again, explain to my like 14-year-old niece that liking video games was a thing you did not ever talk... Like you couldn't do that and be cool. Like that just doesn't register with her.
Nobody would fuck you, dude.
Yeah, like you couldn't wear a shirt like a Pokemon shirt in high school because that not only was that a video game, that's a video game for babies. Like it was like, you know, you was doubly, you're screwed.
A lot of gates.
But it became cooler and then, I don't know, everyone talked about it and it became something that like how other people perceived it mattered in a way that kind of, like would ruin the fun for it. And I forgot that like, it's just about anything is about your experience with it, really. Like somebody else, you can't control other people's opinions about you, about Star Wars, about anything, and it's not even worth trying. Like, just get on the level with yourself about it. And with the new canon stuff, with COVID, with some interesting leadership changes in our country, I've grown and changed, and I hope in some ways humbled. And like coming back to the old canon is reuniting with that, like, Star Wars is like just joy. It's like, it doesn't actually matter.
Right.
But so all that matters is like what I allow it to matter.
Yeah.
And that's what this is here. And then by doing it, like, though it's more personal, yes, we're still doing a podcast, so we're still talking about it with other people and stuff. But always at the end of the day, like the Old Canon Book Club is like my favorite thing that I do in life. Like it's like so enriching and cool, and it's a thing that allows me to use a thing that I have always loved. It's been like core to my being, but also allows me to grow as a person by like broadening my horizons on how I interact with people, opinions, reading old things, like changing my lazy consumptive habits and just like being a more patient. Basically, I'm like Gunji, just learning. Like I don't know. It's like it's been
Star Wars turned me into Gunji.
It all goes back to that ice cave, dude.
I owe my life to it.
Yeah, like I
Thank
didn't
God for
have
Life Alert.
A very broad worldview at like 12, but I'm enjoying it. The Echidna is being triggered as though I was, but also with like tempered by the wisdom of having experienced stuff. So it's like fully realized, it feels like.
It might all boil down for me just to that one cool dent on Boba Fett's helmet. I don't know. It might be just that.
And we know.
I spent a lot of time. I don't know.
We know how it got there.
Yeah, now we do. There's a movie about it. Just kidding.
I don't know. And then how do you think your experience with Star Wars has changed you as a person? Like, it's just like anything, we do look at other things and draw conclusions from them. We roll, like, the behavior of others, real or fictional, affects how we think stuff. So, like, it probably has informed my sense of good and evil and right and wrong and that kind of stuff in ways that I just don't even, I don't even do it consciously.
It was my gateway to like pop culture. Like, I don't think I would be like the culture vulture, like crazy, like wizard of media person that I am now if I didn't like go really hard into Star Wars. It's probably between Star Wars and Animorphs that like got me really into like big grand things. Like Redwall also was another one, but Star Wars, just the scale of it, the feeling of going to the theater when they came out and everybody in the world. It was like when Pokemon Go came out, but it was just a movie. It was crazy.
I mean, like, I'm a nerd, and it's like peak nerd culture in all of its forms, and it's just something that because the fandom was so big, it felt like, oh, other people enjoy this too, so it's fine to enjoy it. Like when I was in high school, I remember a teacher asking us all what our favorite movie was. And I remember being like, oh, Empire Strikes Back is my favorite. I love that movie. And the teacher was like, yeah, that's a good one. Instead of like, fucking nerd, no one in the class said a thing. Everyone was like, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. It's like one of the, like before, like there's like a lot of movies everybody's supposed to know about.
Yeah.
Those were some of the ones.
Yeah.
Those were some of the ones. And I feel like,
and looking back, that was the 90s. So it's like, that was pretty close to when that, like, you know, that's still, we're 10, 15 years out from that.
I also feel kind of a pride from Star Wars because I feel like it's kind of like one of the main American exports that's like really kind of tight. Like it's like pretty cool. Like it does a lot of cool things at once. Like it's like a really cool art pastiche. It's like almost like cowboys in our culture, like something that really like did something.
Yeah, it's a fun, homage to a bunch of different cool cultural stories. Yeah. Like Lucas, that first movie pulled from a lot of cool stuff. And it translates well all over the world.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff about movies in general boils down to Star Wars. And the idea, like probably like every midnight showing we've ever been to in our lives to see like a fucking Civil War, Captain America or whatever, like it's probably because of that first cultural impact to that first Star Wars movie.
And Star Wars is like a genuinely, truly, almost one-to-one perfect like organizational, if you had to draw out how to tell a story.
Yeah.
Star Wars does it almost beat for beat for beat.
Yeah, it's Campbell, yeah.
Yeah, and you can straight up take Star Wars and be like, this is the hero's journey. Let's show you how it works out. And then give it to anyone and be like, make your own story. And you could do it easily.
Yeah, exactly.
This is why it's always good to make an outline before you start writing. Video games. One, we kind of were just asking about like how people felt about the format of how we do it because it's a different medium, and so it's like
Let's
a
play,
podcast episode plus a sort of like short play plus a long play that you can get, and then also just sort of questions about like thoughts on the games, personal experiences with games of this era or these games, or also like we talked about instruction manuals and how important they were, and like if other people had similar experience with them. So let's see. John Tortomasi says, permission to read, use on podcast. Yes, my brothers in Star Warrioring. You did it. We're here. We've made it to games. It's been a terrific ride so far. I'm resuscitating my love of Star Wars vicariously through you three via the written word, drawn page, and moving pictures. But video games have always spoken to me in a different and more innate way, and the Star Wars ones are no exception. From the first quarter I plunked into the Star Wars arcade game, I was transported into the helmet of Red 5 and really was on the doomed Death Star run. So damn impressive for its time, especially the sit-down version. Taking hold of that yoke and inverted controls felt precise and natural, and for its day, the crunchy, compressed speech bites sounded pretty sweet to my ears. a few Death Star kill cycles under my belt, and I knew that all I really wanted was to risk my life in the cockpit as a fighter jock for the rebellion. And thus began a long and ongoing love affair with this ancient starfighter pilot culture in a galaxy far, far away, one that carried me right into the X-Wing and TIE Fighter PC games, and even the underrated Rogue Squadron books. Really,
Can't wait to get to those. Underrated, I disagree. Love
Those
them.
are
everybody that read them,
that's the
like,
only ones I ever fucking hear about from
it's
anyone.
like, not even if you know, you know, because everyone, I don't know, people that, everyone that I know that was all involved in the old canon, like the expanded universe, read at least some of those. There were a lot, though, I guess.
Yeah. There were a lot.
Really appreciate the format for covering this new medium on the podcast, and though you pulled it off well with this group of Forerunner games, since there is little to discuss regarding story focus and discussion about what made these simplistic games distinctly Star Wars was perfect, the use of properly recognizable Star Wars iconography is probably the most important aspect to this era of games, as you astutely pointed out, particularly with the Atari Empire game and the AT-AT silhouettes.
Yo, true.
As with so many early console games, combating the controls was usually what amped the difficulty, and I remember feeling super frustrated as a kid at how badly the Atari 2600 joysticks controlled for these games. I wanted so badly to master them, enter the Star Wars arcade game with its brilliant vector graphics, that superior yoke and addictive gameplay. I finally felt like I was fully in control of Luke's destiny. For a 10-year-old kid, that was so very fulfilling. Keep on keeping on, fellas. So much amazing content on the horizon. I'm looking forward to revisiting with you. 80s kids like myself were ravenously hungry for anything that could expand our knowledge of this burgeoning Star Wars universe and its fascinating lore. It was a time when just learning the name of some random alien in Jabba's palace from a Kenner figure card back felt like a revelation to share with your friends.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It is.
Yeah. Thanks for all your work on this terrific slice of pop culture and our shared past. P.S. Really looking forward to your coverage of the NES trilogy of games. As I somehow figured out how to master those games in my teens and found them immensely fun to play through. Side note, the biggest trick I recall is getting that homing pistol power up and then finding a place with nonstop spawning enemies to kill until they drop the random life bar extender to max out your health and make the boss fights manageable. Yo, thank you for that.
That's a tip right there.
You better wait till we play like a game with the beginning. Like just you wait.
I also want to say that comment hit me to my core because I remember that whole, I'm going to sit in the cockpit, I'm going to be a fighter pilot. And I think the reason why I always connected more with the X-Wing stuff and the TIE Fighter stuff than the Jedi stuff is because at some point as a kid, I realized I couldn't move things with my mind, but there was a potential I could be a fighter pilot.
There's an airplane. Yeah.
And that really, I
love
always
the person
liked that.
who bases their fantasies in some amount of reality.
Oh, because I tried. I would try to move stuff. I couldn't get a lightsaber, so I had a stick. But I would try to, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I can't do that." But I could.
would do that after Toy Story. I'd talk to. I was like, you can talk to me if you guys can.
Yeah,
they did.
Guys, listen. I'm one of the cool ones. Come along.
All right, I tried to do it nicely. If you don't talk to me right now, I'm gonna turn you into a Connects baby. I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
But the fact that
I'm gonna replace your body with a fishing pole.
I couldn't lightsaber, but I could go to the arcade, sit in a chair, and become a fighter pilot. That was a real thing you could do.
Yeah, exactly.
And from that point, I was like, yo, X-Wing, TIE Fighter, let's go.
And it wasn't played out either. Like the idea that there was a cockpit somewhere in my movie theater, I would be like, yo, do you see what they have here? You can get in it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And then, okay, we got Jason Livingston. As always, really love the show from a long time ago. Really love the show from a longtime Star Wars fan. You have my permission to use this if you find it at all interesting. I love Star Wars Arcade when it came out. That was a time when every mall, even in Indiana, had one or two arcades. Star Wars Arcade was special. The vector graphics just had a very special look to them that was difficult to replicate at home. Actual quotes from the movie were mind-blowing at the time. As for graphics, Tempest was another vector game that had a similar look. Asteroids was one of the first,
Tempest
but in black and white.
sick.
Star Wars had a special controller that would have been impossible to get at home. I never did see the Empire Strikes Back conversion until I got into PC gaming and saw the MAME ROMs in the early 90s. Pirate, get him! Just kidding.
How did we do it?
Yeah. In 1984, I was able to get the game for the Atari 5200. Star Wars looks and played really well on that machine, much better than the 2600 version. I mean, it's over 200, whatever's better.
Yep.
Bad bit. As for I'll stop editorializing. As for manuals, they were
No, you
a key
won't.
part of you're right. A game
You
back
already
then.
said you're right.
Every shit. That was him.
You did it again?
Every 26 cover art was enough to inspire. I remember reading the instructions for Adventure over and over again. Pitfall as well, using graph paper. I even designed my own kingdom with more castles. Adventure 2, I remember also trying to map out Pitfall as well. Jumping ahead, I got Flight Simulator 2 for my Commodore 64, and it came with some thick manuals that were actually great at describing the basics of flight and pivotal pilot flying. I learned so much about aviation in those. Those manuals were almost better than the actual game. Probably the last manual I was excited about reading was the first Civilization game. That one had a brick. Thanks again. Love looking back at the games I played and the ones I missed.
Oh man.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I'm really excited about in terms of video games, because it's not going to be, I mean, I'm going to try and get them in there a little bit more often just because I want to do them. And I think they're a lot of them will require a little bit of time on our part to like play properly.
Okay.
But like one of the things that was really a challenge, and we didn't even get to the point where I felt like we could properly play this lightsaber challenge game that was like required a knob to turn. Mm-hmm. But none of the games that we've played so far, I feel like, did we really do proper justice to. As everybody who has commented on this game has said, having that controller in your hand for this vector game and seeing it on the vector screen,
game changer.
It was indistinguishable from like, you know, that scene in RoboCop with the like fake computer, you know, like those types of things you see in the movies. Like it looked exactly like that. It looked like the computer from the fucking Star Wars, the X-Wing fucking targeting computer.
Sure.
Like,
is that what that's supposed to like?
I mean,
we've talked about that before, but like, was vectors at that time?
Yes,
this
yes.
like new tech that they were like, this is more sci-fi.
It looks way better.
Yeah,
it looks way better. Like if you see a vector screen in person, you just immediately
Didn't I
understand.
just see that they're like making like Vectrex minis or something?
I can't imagine they're doing that, and it's really a vector. But maybe, I don't know. But my point is, for the next couple games, the amount of fidelity that we will have as the player to experience it in the way that people were experiencing it, like pretty much 1-to-1, is going to go up like majorly. So it's going to be very fun for us, I think, because these games were us still kind of wrestling with like, I don't know, trying to fly with an Xbox controller, but these NES games, like, and I said this last time kind of as a joke, but we're all quite experienced Let's Players. And I think you're going to be in luck in terms of like what we're willing to do and try with gaming.
When we finally get to Dark Forces, dude,
It's not that far.
I'm about to be the best video game player who ever lived.
Yeah.
I played that game so much.
Yeah, it's not that far away.
Just because we got more to get through, I'm not gonna read the full ones, but we had some other questions basically about that. Like, this is great for shorter stuff, but what about when we get to meatier games? And I think like maybe not every longer game will we do, but we definitely will be doing Let's Plays of like
I think
KOTOR and some of the other stuff.
Some of
maybe live streams, but there will be a way that
the newer games, the older games that are like platformers and stuff like that. I don't want to just like say, oh, we're going to sit here and we're going to play this till we beat it necessarily.
Super Star Wars can kiss my ass.
But
I don't have the patience to suffer through all of it.
I will set a time limit that somebody could beat that game in. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And we will play it for a nice chunk of time where like conceivably somebody could finish the game. But I'm not saying we're going to be able to finish it in that time, but that's okay.
Well, but then we also have like why you released a long play. Like there are ways to. That if you want to see all of that, that'll be there.
I'm just saying,
it
like, we're not
you know.
going to roll credits on every game that we play, but once we get to the point where each game that comes out is like a giant cinematic experience, we will have the time, for the most part, to play those games. Like,
look, we're going to sit through every FMV in that damn Jedi game.
Yeah.
The dude who has no lower half and he flies around. He's like, I'm going to get you.
I don't know that we're going to play to the end of X-Wing and TIE Fighter and X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, but we're definitely going to touch them, and we're definitely probably going to play at least one of them all the way
That's why
through.
if he was real, he'd be one of the guys like, there's too many of them and dies. That's the kind of attitude.
No.
Damn.
Dude,
Yeah.
I'm the one
We
who-
roll credits on everything.
No, that's
we're playing the Game
that's
Gear
crazy.
version of the trilogy, the best version.
If you want that,
'Cause that has color.
What you're describing
What's
is
a home console?
is a once a season upload from us. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of playing Star Wars games in the near future, more than you think. And I think the way we're doing the episodes is really good. I think that having an audio episode where we can talk about it afterwards and get our thoughts together is good.
Also,
but I think the playing is essential.
I wonder if some of these early...
It's just, that's one whole aspect of the medium.
Yeah.
If you don't play it, you didn't play it.
I wonder if some of these games that are notoriously difficult but are worth completing, it might just be simple as we play, we try it, we get our asses kicked, and then we flip a switch and we become invincible to experience the game.
Oh, yeah. No, 100%. Like, that's also
Save
totally
states.
doable.
Yeah, we can
That's how I got
just cheese
through,
our way through the end.
A lot of the games that are hard, though, also aren't actually that hard and actually just
Battletoads.
frustrating. And when you play them for more than 20 minutes, sometimes you just get good at it.
Sure, but I'm saying, like, there's some parts of that the era when it was like Aladdin and Super Star Wars and Lion King, where they were just designed to be dick games. Some of that, I think, if we could just flip a switch and we'll play it, we'll get beat up, and then switch flip, and then we just play through Invincible just to see the game so we can experience the way they told the story.
That's fine with me.
That could be fun.
But I think it's possible. That
Yeah,
we could
it'll
sit
probably
there.
have to be a case by case.
I think we
Yeah,
could sit
yeah, of
there.
course.
I think we could sit there and beat it. I don't think any of those games is particularly hard. They're just.
But it comes down to time. How much
Yeah,
time you want to spend
yeah,
on
exactly.
things. If it's just going to take too long, then let's just.
you will be satisfied, viewer. Trust me.
Yeah, we got you, baby.
Trust me.
And then the other one that I'll just summarize from Joel is about some later games, like when modding becomes a thing, and there are mods that people have made to Empire at War, which
I
keeps
love that
it
game.
fresh.
Yeah.
Apparently, it still has 2,000 monthly players because of the mods and stuff.
Yep.
Just if we're going to.
Not really the point of our show, but it's not going to be addressed when we talk about that game.
Yeah, or I personally don't even know what mods there are for some games, but I'm definitely down to. I think it's a case-by-case basis. We'll see where we're at with stuff.
Sure.
There's just going to be so much
I doubt that
stuff.
we're going to get to a point where we're playing and in 1999 this mod came out and we're going to check out this fan-made content. But yeah, having fun with mods, maybe some once we're going far deep into the video game zone, I'll get silly with it. If we're doing a live stream and people want us to do something where we all fly Star Destroyers and fight, some dumb shit like that, I'm not against that. I'm just saying in terms of what our show is, that's not really a part of it.
By the time we get to this era, we're gonna. There's
gonna be 50 years
the
old,
universe will have been exploded. So we'll see. It's all what makes sense. The important things that we won't skip are the actual pieces of media as they were made.
Right.
But we put that on Scary Game Squad. That super cool, scary Ewok.
Yeah, the horror Star Wars games, the zombie one as well.
Again, not against it as a thing, but just the show is about reading everything in order.
Yeah.
Hello, Star Warriors. My name is Sergey. I'm a big fan from Russia, currently in hiding in another country. I've been subscribed to Jesse since 2012.
Hello.
Listen and watch all your shows, and of course, love Star Wars. Watch the original trilogy on VHS, and my first English language book was The Mandalorian Armor by Kevin Jeter, the one where Dengar slurps Boba out of the Sarlacc pit.
I know that.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
My question to you is simple. If you were a Force user in the Star Wars galaxy, what lightsaber type and color would you choose? Is your choice now the same as it was when you were children or teenagers? Thanks for being part of my life for many years and teaching me so much about American culture.
I want one yellow lightsaber normal.
Ooh.
Always has been my choice ever since I saw one in Jedi Power Battles. I think was the game that sold me on it. And that's, I think, the coolest one.
When I was younger, I also thought a regular yellow one was cool. There's something dual wielding is cool, and the saber staff is cool, but there's something elegant as the one lightsaber is
There's something narratively powerful about it.
it just feels more self-assured. It's you're a Jedi. What can't you accomplish with the one blade?
Yeah.
The answer clearly must be orange Force Pike.
Orange is almost indistinguishable from yellow.
Agreed.
I
Yellow
will-
and orange
yeah.
very close,
I
but I'm
think we-
saying
yeah.
I like the orange vibe because it's but then a giant staff with a lightsaber blade at the end.
like a kung fu movie.
Rocks.
Yeah, I'm
Dude,
with you.
I
Like a
had a-
Dynasty Warriors type.
Yeah.
I in my early college years, I did a. I'm glad I don't even know where it is now, but I was like part of those like forum sort of like RPGs, and I had like
I did
a character,
Redwall
and
one,
he had
dude.
like a
I was
whole
on a
bunch of
Redwall one.
lightsabers that all for different. Basically, it was like Monster Hunter. I didn't even think about it at the
Pretty
time, but
thought
like
through.
for different, everything had like a reason for like this would be for dueling other Jedi, whatever. Now, which I think is like shown the growth is, if I'm a Jedi now, the lightsaber the color I would have would be the crystal that I have at hand. Like a Jedi doesn't give a shit. That's vanity. I don't care about the color of my lightsaber.
Okay.
Like I don't.
All right.
I know there's aesthetic choices that could look sick or not, but like if I'm like really a Jedi, I'm just like, what is the crystal that I have? That's the color that I have.
Sure.
I don't believe in bleeding.
Although-
if that's the way that you want to do lightsabers, that is fine. I still think it's just cool that like a different crystal has a different.
The difference
color.
is when I was
and
a
the synthetic
kid.
ones are red.
When I was a kid, the one I wanted, even though it didn't exist, I always wanted a black lightsaber blade.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was cool as shit.
Like before the dark saber.
before they made the dark saber.
The dark
when it
saber
was
looks like a mod. Speaking of which,
Yes, it definitely does. But like,
Sick mod.
I like the idea of like, no, my blade's black, so like at night you couldn't even see it.
it's just you're like, zzz, and you're like, what is that?
Yeah, very edgy kid Jesse. Loved that idea. Thought it was great.
Yeah, yellow, one blade, normal, and it looks like kind of old. Not like the weird like toy store lightsabers from the prequels, but like the weird ones. I like those.
Oh, the best version of lightsaber was always the one that like your master's master
One that's
gave
like
to you. where, like, it's-
inexplicably got like a piece of wood on it for some reason.
yeah, like it's old and it was handed down. Like that's always fun. Yeah.
Something that looks like a coffee. Like maybe I'm about to make espresso, but like maybe it,
Dude, yes. I got a portable espresso machine from Microsoft event I went to. They like gave it out, and it was like it looks like a lightsaber. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I've never used it as an espresso maker, but
as a lightsaber.
As a lightsaber-
I can't
multiple
promise that I
times.
haven't.
Dude, I got like
Oh, and it has a button which I think is for pumping. I drink coffee all the fucking time, and I make it. I don't understand espresso, and I never will. But it has a little thing, and it's like a blade switch.
he likes
like
it.
an activator.
He likes it, folks. Yeah, I hope that answers your very serious question. We all knew too. That was the best part.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's like, you know how they think there's like some quote I heard like the average male thinks about sex every like 13 seconds. I think about lightsabers every second.
Yeah.
Full stop. I'm still having the same
He loves a flaming
extended
sword, dude.
lightsaber thought that I had when I was like 4.
Yeah, It like that's what this podcast basically is me trying to get a real life yellow lightsaber that my dad, who works on Tatooine, got me.
Son,
Man.
here you go.
Is that Han Solo?
Compadre. I put a little wood on there for you.
Ben, I put a little wood on there.
To the SWOCBC from Squint Eastwood. It's a great.
Pretty good.
Did you write into the
Did
right
I?
after Bob the movie?
Bob the movie and Squint Eastwood, dude. Thinking about making a western. Oh yeah.
That's like a critic. It's like if Ebert or one of them didn't like any of his movies, they're like more like Squint Eastwood. Do you each have specific instances of Star Wars headcanon that you've developed over the years? Mine, for example, would be that Emperor Palpatine knows the Stormtroopers' armor to be ineffective. I think he would delight in their death and suffering as they are betrayed by something made to protect them. Why stop at the pain of your adversaries as Lord of the Sith?
I think that Emperor Palpatine is gay. I don't know why I think that. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's in my mind that he is gay.
You know, I just realized that the headcanon I
Like
had,
always just been there?
Yeah, I don't know.
the headcanon that I had as a kid actually kind of was true. I always thought that all of the fish people were from the same world.
Which
And then it turns
technically,
out like
it's almost true.
they're locked in a Sea Wars.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that was in a book and I read it and it just stuck with me. But yeah, Sea Wars on the Sea World, man.
Yeah, nothing but a Sea World, dude. Sea World is an incredible name for a movie that doesn't exist, but that unfortunately is the name of a theme park.
Or
like
Waterworld.
squatted on by yeah.
Yeah.
SeaWorld is like,
Yeah, I always believed that for some reason, and then it was real.
yeah, I don't know why.
I don't know that I have like headcanon, like now I sort of like try to, because there's so many conflicting stories, I kind of like, I don't like the prequels. This is not a surprise, but I don't really like think of them. Like I don't even, or even now the sequels, I'm like the original trilogy and sort of stuff extending from there is like what I care about. And so that's like sort of what stimulates my brain and my emotions. And I let that like sort of be the thing that's there. I am ever crafting different headcanons of what I think the Clone Wars in a more interesting version could be. And it's getting informed by the stuff that we're reading here. And like, that's like, it's not, I don't have anything specific that I'm like, this person thinks this in my head. It's just so, like more like vibes of
different Clone
of
Wars.
how of like the different Clone Wars. And I've really been vibing with the like less video game power, more fantasy wizard force.
Yes.
Like blending into shadows and such.
Like
and
it's kind of like Miracles, kind of.
Yeah, like that is like what is in my head a lot. Like I do part of like a lot of stuff that I do now, I just do kind of for myself. I have a lot of like creative outlets that I like do art. I have a very weird love of making World of Warcraft characters and creating highly specific lore and transbogs for them. It's just a thing that I do.
Yeah, you should play more Dragon Quest 3, man.
Yeah, like, and so, but I like finding that doing creative things that are just for me that nobody else sees is great. And so coming up with different character force concepts, like what would a force druid look like? Like somebody that is like nature, plants, like speaks through that kind of stuff. Like this is the kind of headcanon that as I'm older, I'm doing now. I don't know. When I was younger, it was probably like, who could win in a fight? Luke or Super, like, you know, those kind of things. But the newer stuff is kind of focused around that, which is just broad, cool things.
I also had a headcanon that Princess Leia was like super into me.
Hell yeah.
She was like, Jesse, you're my only hope.
That's like the opposite of thinking that Palpatine is gay for some reason.
Yeah.
You're like, I envision myself as this kind of like green royal member of a really cool race, and I could just like
use my
give off pheromones. And you know, she stays with Han because I can't break canon, but she wants it.
I made her think. You know, I made her think.
Yeah. Like, just think about a Jedi that can like manipulate gravity. Anyways, that's just like some of the shit. Like, that's just another one of them.
How technically all Jedi can.
If waterbenders can bend water, then what's to stop them from bending blood?
In Legend of Korra, that is in fact a plot point.
I'm so you can't imagine how aware I am of that. The first time I said it, I got dogpiled.
Good.
By people
What'd you
that
say?
were-
Good.
I said, "Can they bend blood?" And everybody was like, "If you actually watched it, you would know that." Of course, they can.
It's the darkest form of water bending.
And I'm one of them. I have a water clan metal band.
Same with metal benders.
I have watched that entire show and watched season 1 of Korra. Do they ever talk about airbenders being able to just like kill you by taking all the air, all the oxygen?
You know
you got water in your blood.
You know those
but did you know
motherfuckers-
that in water is oxygen?
You know those motherfuckers have. You know the airbenders had to go for some reason.
Did you see the? I don't remember which. I don't remember which series it is, but did you see the one where it's like the guy had no arms or the woman had no arms, so she has like water arms?
Yeah.
And the one where the guy has like the eye in his forehead and he like shoots the air like pew!
Yeah.
And then there's like it's like basically I don't know which one that is.
X-Men. Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely have like a dude who's like, take away his breath.
I want the Platinum Games Legend of Korra game. I want to play that. It's delisted.
Speaking, I don't know why this triggered this, but speaking of Chilluminati, I just listened to your guys' Halloween episode. The nitrogen brain diving thing has been fucking me up.
Terrifying.
Pretty good.
I was like talking about it with my boys. I had like a magic weekend, and we were like,
You were like
just
Blue
like
Decks, dude.
It's just like
Blue Decks,
if
bro.
ever you think like the universe is so big and crazy, and we think we have any say in anything, and then just a little bit of more nitrogen in your brain, and you suddenly think that down is pure joy, and you don't need this apparatus.
Yeah.
It's weighing you back, and you will fight your friend that is trying to save your fucking life.
For the right to die
It's
underwater.
crazy.
Yeah.
That sounds like a dark side power.
Because you're falling into it, dude.
Dude,
Yes,
just like
you
Vader
falling
when he
into the
fixed
Force.
the radio. Yeah.
Yo.
The problem is the Force also pressure.
Swanak back legends. of
Every
it.
6D meters you go down in the Force, it's
One more martini.
You get a little more. It's like 2 or 3
Spotchka.
more death sticks.
Yeah.
Like, let me, the void is calling me. Snips, let me go. Snips,
No Sky Guy.
let go of me. My robes.
Yes.
Crap. Discussion post
Father.
for Newspaper Strips Volume 2. I think the question was about how, like, reading about the restrictions that they had gave me a greater appreciation for the stuff, and that was there other, like, mediums or things that gave you a greater appreciation for it than maybe just the actual
You mean like the
story.
actual fact that they took like newspaper strips and like had to tell a story in this small.
Yes.
Yeah.
Permission to read this. This is from Anthony Matthews. These were a little tough for me to get through, although I liked this bunch better than the first half of the newspaper strips, other than the Ord Mantell storyline. I think Jesse summed it up nicely when he compared the pacing to watching a reality show on a streaming service. You'll be watching something like Top Chef, and something will happen before the commercial break with a recap after the break. But with ad-free streaming, you just end up watching the same thing that you just saw
Yes.
again. That's what the pacing of the newspaper strips felt like. They also moved on. Sorry, I had to swallow. From plots very quickly. On the bright side, On the bright side, if there's a story you don't really care for, it will be over long before. I liked most of the stories in this collection. More Tanis Shire is always nice. One thing I didn't really care for was going back to Yavin after we had already moved past Empire in the main comics.
Sure.
You all often discuss the new canon salvaging ideas from this old proto-canon and giving them new life. I noticed an interesting parallel between the newspaper strips and the Clone Wars. In The Return of Ben Kenobi, an actor is hired by Vader to pretend to be Obi-Wan. The actor's appearance is changed to look like Obi-Wan by Imperial surgeons. Years later, in a Clone Wars episode called Deception, Obi-Wan would be the one to go undercover as a bounty hunter named Racco Hardeen. Obi-Wan undergoes a facial transformation via nanotechnology to make himself look like Racco and use a voice emulator. Makes you wonder if this was another case of recycling from a forgotten canon or just a coincidence.
Watching MI2 while blitzed.
Also, I can't wait to learn more about the great bounty hunter known as Zuckass. Yeah, definitely that comparison is good.
It's too close.
And yeah, the moving on quickly, like, is good. And that, like, then having to read the Marvel where that doesn't exactly happen, I was like, I got used to
Yeah.
that good thing. And you're like, boy, we're really with this
It's a
chanteuse in the stars for a long time.
It's interesting. Like, imagine you never seen a movie, right? Like, imagine you never seen one before, and you're like, why is this shot like tilted? Like, do you think shots that are tilted, like, intrinsically feel stressful, or do you think that like over time we've like taught ourselves that when you tilt a shot that it means?
I think it's the first person who tilted a shot was like, yo, that's a stressful angle.
Yeah.
And then everyone else felt that and were like, I'm going to use that.
So the thing that's interesting about these newspaper strips is that it's like a million of those things happening in a universe that none of us really have any reason to like dive into anymore. The newspaper strip is so old fashioned. Like, probably most people who read them are over 60 years old today, you know, in a regular, especially if you're going back.
Yeah, do kids read like newspaper?
funnies? No.
That's not a thing that happens anymore.
I don't think, like, maybe if you're
It may not even
maybe
exist.
if
I don't know.
maybe your parents buy it or have it around. I don't even.
I mean, no one has newspapers.
Right.
So,
So like, I do think old people still look at them and read the ones that are there, but I don't think there's,
my cafe.
yeah, I don't think there's many, and I just think, like, as fun as it is to learn about Star Wars, like, one of the things that we're also able to learn about, like, we're about to learn about television.
Sure.
Some new stuff about how television was in the 70s and 80s that we didn't know about before. And that stuff is just as fun to me because as somebody who loves this stuff from like a nostalgic perspective, we get to really dive into why stuff is the way that it is too.
You know what's crazy? I just realized this. I can't say I'm proficient with TikTok, but one of the things I recognize that happens often is if you go watch a like part 1 or part 2 of a TikTok thing, if it's like a 4-part, they're showing you clips from a thing, like like this person got pulled over by the cops.
I found a hole behind my mirror.
Yeah. If you watch those, you will notice that episode 1 starts with the hook and then begins the thing. Episode 2 or part 2 will literally rehash some of what part 1 said, because some people will only find part 2.
Right, exactly.
Which is kind of like the newspapers.
It's exactly the same thinking. Yeah. It's actually quite astute. Like, it's really the same exact thing. It's like even a newspaper strip is like one guy making something, like the same way that you're doing shit with your phone, and you're actually using frames too.
Yeah.
In a kind of interesting way. That's not quite the same as like movies, because people just like green screen themselves on top of themselves and shit all the time.
Yeah.
And like grab clips. And I don't know. It's really interesting. Remixing also is like a convention that I feel like in 30 years, people are going to go back and look at the Star Wars TikToks and see people putting like voices to clips and being like, what in the fuck was that? And we're going to have to be like, there was a time when media was like a resource. Like the past was just a media library. It's crazy to think about.
Max says, the newspaper strips always felt super special to me because of Al Williamson's art. He's one of those artists who is pretty much unmatched in quality and line work from that time. As you'll see in the next Marvel volume, he truly made Return of the Jedi comic adaptation so special and great. He also did the Blade Runner comic adaptation from a similar time, and that is one of my favorite comics of all time because of his art.
Oh man, I did not realize that was him, but that is really a cool comic.
I didn't even realize there was a Blade Runner comic.
That makes everything so much more grand and intense to me. I love Blade Runner. I love his art from these 2 things, and now I'm like going to go find this adaptation.
Big same.
1 million Marvel comic books. Like, he is one of the guys. He's one of the main.
Yeah, but I love I love Blade Runner, and I like it has its own distinct visual style from Star Wars, and I love the way that he did Empire and Jedi, except for the Death Star.
Yeah.
Too. Like, come on, man. You can do better.
But I think you'll be surprised how much art by these people from these Star Wars books that is like the famous drawings even that
This is the craziest thing that I did not realize till doing this. All of the weird color things came from, they're not just like a random thing. They're from the most popular comic of the 70s. Like they weren't this like niche thing or Disney being like cute at Disneyland to like give you a thing. It's like, no, these are like, this is as much part of Star Wars as anything else.
This was the most tangible.
I just didn't have the understanding, the cultural media literacy.
I need that pink and black Vader.
I think it's the Hawaii one.
The one that where he just looks.
Or the one, is it like pink and purple? The one from Jedi? Like, where you're like,
oh my God.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, that one is awesome too. Yeah.
It is crazy how you're like, these are not the colors that Vader is, but
he is.
They are Vader if he was like silhouetted in a light. Like,
yes,
it's
awesome.
so cool.
It's the same as the blue Batman. Is Batman ever blue? Sometimes yes, but sometimes.
Is that like a great debate? Like
okay, the real debate, if you really want to like get into it, is what color Storm's outfit was meant to be originally, her white outfit.
Oh, you've shown this where you're like wait, the dress.
It's very bizarre how comic book colors work, because in the end you can't choose the colors. Like, when you look at like video games and stuff like that, and you look at how many colors were available to the console,
sure,
it's like shocking how little of a palette. And it's the same with printing, you know what I mean? And so some of it's, them being artistic and just being awesome and figuring shit out, but some of it's them working within the confines and doing something that works. And there's stuff like that. Like, is Batman's suit blue, or is it gray, or is it black, or what color is it? Storm, when they switch to her white outfit, it's very possible that the white was supposed to be reflection until they put her in the very, very, solidized, formatted cartoon version.
Yeah, where it's like, you just saw it at every lighting, every angle.
Yeah, that or her costume completely changed colors.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna skip to this next discussion post because it's the last one, and then we can hop back from the Q&A after that. But this was about Marvel Years Volume 5,
the most recent ones we read.
Yeah. the question revolved around the Echidna idea of like things that you see that just
Love it.
override.
Boys will see this and be like, hell yeah, that type of shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then also, as with all of them, it's like also if you have thoughts about the actual thing, whatever. Max, again, was, hey, this is fine to read on air, but this is the volume where the comics really started to get interesting for me, as Joe Duffy pretty much defined the first ever Star Wars not explicitly tied to movies. These first few issues of post Return of the Jedi content are still finding their feet, but some of what comes next is quite interesting and different, with the last issue in the volume starting to show this with the introduction of Lumia. Obviously, these issues...
Was that the robot, the like Vader killing?
That was
Was it the planet?
That like, remember like Lady Vader? Was that? Or was that
actually,
Lady
Whoa.
Vader was.
I think it is. I just Googled it and I saw pictures and things, and I'm like, I don't know what this is yet. I don't want to know what this is yet. So,
Okay.
But
I can't remember if it was the
up, bro?
robot that was like the girl that was like we were talking about was Luthen, and it was his.
That was the second to last one.
Okay, so then we're talking about the
very last
Vader,
one.
the like Vader woman chick that was like on that one planet. Yeah,
The Vader Natrix.
yeah, we'll see. I thought that robot that like sacked herself was awesome.
That was a great, but that was a one-off. That was
Right.
like a, yeah.
Yeah, we shall see what happens. But there's only one more. That's the last one. The next one is it.
Cool.
yeah. Obviously, these issues suffer from a lot of old comic writing issues like excessive dialogue, especially mundane dialogue or that is explained in the picture and such. But the concept of something new and different in Marvel style interests me enough to keep me reading.
I think honestly, like the conventions we have to stop talking about in terms of like outdated or bad. Like, I don't really think there's anything bad about the protracted explaining because
But you can still say something's outdated without being like, it's bad.
yeah, that's true, but I don't ever want to get caught accidentally implying that something being wordy because it was the 70s was something negative. Like it's just it really is the same thing as the rehashing of the plot every time. It's just it's the same exact thing. It's like when you pick up a comic book monthly, you might get issue 74 and you might get issue 80. And that might be the only two that you ever see of that story. So they explain a bunch of shit. It's the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, even Max says in this, like, you know, there's that is of the time, but like there's still interesting stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Joel Coxhead says, although I can apply the Echidna concept to far less controversial topics such as the Gendy Tartakovsky, one day you'll pronounce it correctly. Oh my God, he even baked it into the fucking...
Damn.
I don't think today was that day.
John F. Kennedy, Tartakovsky.
Dude,
What?
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 Did you just brain fuck me?
No, John F. Kennedy. That's how you pronounce Kennedy.
Wait, it's Gendy. It's still Kennedy?
Gendy.
Yeah.
It's Kennedy.
Kennedy? You know what? I'm just going to say sorry. You make great stuff and move on. Kennedy? No, it's not. There's an Endy. Gendy. What? What are you laughing
We
at?
had a complete breakdown.
Dude.
That was the derail. We're off the tracks.
I'm a victim here. The whole point is you can apply this concept to the 2003 Clone Wars animated series. I think it'll be far more spicy if I apply it to the Rise of Skywalker. A cavalry charge across the surface of a Star Destroyer? Fuck yeah. Red Stormtroopers with sick armor? Dare I say the best Stormtrooper armor design you can find? Absolutely. Claude? You're goddamn right. To focus on the cavalry charge, I think it itches the same part of my brain that something like Warhammer 40K does, where the visuals override the ridiculousness and disregard of real-world military tactics to instead completely feed into the space fantasy of it all. But a question for the gang, do we think the Echidna has limits to where it can be applied? Do we think there are key features necessary for it to activate, such as visual medium, or can imagination carry it throughout? And how does it differ from the rule of cool? Wish you all the best, Joel. For me, it's anything where something happens. Usually it has to be something that you're like not into, or like
you
how
can't
I
fake
think
it.
it has to like. The point is, it's like it overrides everything else, like something that like triggers, and that's now the big thing.
It's like a laugh. It's like you can't.
Well, especially like fear. Like if you see a thing suddenly, your body whatever you were thinking about doesn't matter. You are in fight or flight mode. In this case, something like I was like not into the whole what is their name? The Greedo, the Gluckshido of Greedo guy that was there. That group,
right.
the like bearded,
that like weird crew of scallywags,
like the fuck ups. And I'm like, this is the stupidest thing. All of a sudden, I'm like, well, hold on now. Luke's doing a cool thing, and then I'm like,
yeah.
What was up? What was I? I don't even, so I think like
enjoying
I don't think you
yourself,
have to overthink it. Just like something where you were not into it, and then one thing happened, and you were like, I'm incredibly into this right now.
Yeah, like I just think like stuff like activating your kid gene or whatever, right? Like it's to me, it just is like it requires that it do it. Like funny stuff, right? Like yes,
Sure.
like some stuff is off color that we make jokes about when we're thinking a joke up that comes to mind, and depending on how that joke is delivered, right, you can say something that's pretty edgy and get away with it because it's genuinely funny and everybody thinks it's funny. Obviously you can't like not offend anyone ever when you make a joke, but like jokes live or die based on just a true real feeling. And I just think with the Echidna, it's like, is it cool? Then it's cool. Like it has to get you know when you're reading it and you go, oh, that's it. That's all it is. It's just literally like you can't drill. There's not too much technique to it. It's like getting turned on.
Yeah,
I don't
like-
know why stuff is sexy to me.
Yeah, like the rule of cool, I think, is the idea of we're creating something that you will think, like we're actively trying to be cool. But Echidna is literally just like,
That's her
me take big rock, throw in water, that looks
I
awesome.
like that. Yeah.
rule of cool is a thing you're trying to do. The Echidna being triggered is a reflex. Like
Yeah.
it's like the creator tries to do rule of cool.
Yes.
The like observer of a thing has an Echidna reaction.
But the success of the rule of cool still, it comes down to you. It's like,
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that this works in any case, but if whatever you do, the guy has like shades on while he does it, that does increase the likelihood of it succeeding by 5% at least.
If there's fire behind the guy with shades and he's walking,
not looking at it. He's not looking at it.
towards camera though.
but if the camera goes down and the fire is actually attached to a fucking katana that's actually way closer to the camera than you thought, dude, Echidna activated.
The coolest shit ever.
Dave's had to
Give me
move
the
away
bridge.
from the mic.
So give me the bridge.
He's in his masturbatorium.
Jesse, where's your lotion? Never mind. Dry bones. Anyways.
that sound of the fucking Koopa falling apart.
Raul Patberg says, "Hi guys, this is okay to read on the air should you want to. I'm mainly writing to say that Davis is a genius and I totally know what he's talking about."
Is this real?
This is real.
All right.
I didn't write this.
We got to get another guy.
This
to do
is
Troll.
Bob. Davis is cool movie guy.
Bob
Yeah.
Davis movie.
I was a huge Lego fan as a kid, and even though I don't really collect it anymore, sometimes I see a really cool set in a store and immediately think I'm 6 again and I need to buy that. I used to especially love the astronaut alien sets that had lots of transparent pieces in orange and bright green.
The Ice Planet one was the one with the orange.
So the new Ninjago sets that look kind of similar really set off my instincts. Thanks for the great podcast, and let's hope Davis keeps reliving his childhood.
Dude,
I'm excited to keep reliving my childhood and not just my childhood trauma. Anyways, thanks guys for watching. Are you happy now, Dad?
Every episode
I'm
was
just
the
kidding, my
Last
dad's
Jedi
awesome.
episode by Davis.
honestly, there's like something really awesome about this. Is such a weird thing. Like being an adult with some form of like, I could just buy that.
Yeah.
Like kid me could have never afford that.
No.
But adult me, I could have that right now. That's better than any Echidna thing you could ever have.
I got
Dude,
a Kylo
that's-
Ren lightsaber and I brought it all the way home from Disneyland in my 30s.
Yeah.
That's crazy that I did that.
Like,
But it's cool.
when they started doing the Legacy Power Rangers stuff where they did like expensive, nice versions of the toys we had as kids, and I bought all of them, I was like, 12-year-old me would be so excited. But then I put them in like a beautiful shelf display, and I'm like, but also he would hate me because I would be like, don't you, whoa, hey, we don't touch this. This is not a touching thing.
The Gentleman's Pokemon
Saba,
cards.
you can press a button and he'll talk, but we don't, these are not toys.
Remember the ones where you push the belt and their heads flip? Those were the fucking coolest ones.
Dude, yes.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like the Pokemon cards or the Gentleman's Pokemon card set of the first set that they put out
Wait, that came out?
I don't think so, but the expensive Power Ranger dolls, whatever, like
they're not dolls.
It's like a situation where you're like, in my fantasy, I am playing with them. Like, I want them because I want to do what I wanted to do with them. You're like feeling the feeling that you wanted to feel, but then you get it and it's like, oh, I'm not actually doing it. I feel like if you are going to buy the thing, you should be disgusting.
I mean, I think that's what Legos are so much fun.
Routinely say we need Dragazord power now, and then grab the
Hell yeah.
grab the yeah.
I mean, like, but that's what the brilliance of Legos is. In order to
You gotta build it.
appreciate
Yeah.
it, you have to play with it, which is, that's universal.
Legos.
Dude, I'm more
Legos are
Lego-y almost than when actually no, I played a lot as a kid, but the Botanicals collection, like
Gorgeous.
You
Yeah,
can be a
awesome.
self-respecting adult and never be challenged by building Legos. You can like build Legos and keep your adult card well in hand. It's a pretty
they
pretty classy
understand
hobby.
like the pop art aspect of it, and they lean into like they'll have soundtracks like now it's like a flow state activity, like you can like make it a
like
ritual,
coloring, yeah.
you can like do a whole thing, like they do it right.
I literally found a compilation called Riff Master, and it's straight up just like synth rock music, but it's a wizard, like an image of a wizard
Fuck yeah.
rocking. And I listen to that all the time while I do Lego stuff.
It's like Chess Master, but riffs.
yes,
Yeah.
and I'm like, hell yeah.
Oh, okay. The last one actually was like a question or something that somebody sent in separately, but it deals with this one, so I just put it in here.
Sure.
Hey guys, Josh here, big fan of since the New Canon Book Club days. I love the original Marvel Years Volume 5 episode, and getting your reaction to Boba Fett falling into the Sarlacc pit again was hilarious. But one thing I thought you might not be fully aware of is that Lucasfilm prevented Mary Jo, Buffy, and the comic team from progressing the continuity in their stories. There's an interview in the back of Epic Collection 6 where she says, as long as I didn't mess up or contravene the continuity of potential future movies, and so long as I put things back where I found them by story's end, I could have our heroes spend issue after issue chasing after a block of carbonite that might hold Han, or have the Sarlacc burp up Boba Fett only to swallow him back down. In fact, the comic writers in these interviews often allude to more Star Wars movies, for example, stating that they would love to marry Han and Leia in the comics, but George has to do it in his movie first. While I think it was
Welcome to
be
licenses.
expected
Yeah.
when the
Yeah.
trilogy was coming out, I was surprised they were so restrictive post Return of the Jedi. I guess sequels were seriously on the cards for a time. While I know the original comics vary a lot in quality and characterization, I was curious if this info changes your perspective on them at all, similar to your reframing of the newspaper strips. Thanks for all the great content.
For me,
I gotta read the interviews for the fifth one too.
Well,
like that,
yeah.
it does help.
we'll get to that interview next.
First of all, you spoiled the interview, but it's good because these things that they mentioned in this actually happened in other ones that we've already read at this point. But that does make sense because it was like, and then you just ended up the fuck back, and it's like, well, that's the only way that you can.
It's also worth mentioning that this is like famously a very unique situation. Like George Lucas, Lucasfilm, not based in LA, doesn't like have it, is not in bed with like Fox in that way. He owns these rights himself. He is the one who is making this happen. So the idea that this is like a Marvel movie that's being controlled in that way, it's not that. It resembles that in Mary Jo Duffy's experience, as editorial. But
but like no one did this before, so that's like,
yeah. And what I'm saying is like also like it was like she was dealing with like one motherfucker, like the guy who was, It wasn't like
bureaucracy.
Yeah, it wasn't like
God.
it wasn't like Kathleen Kennedy coming in and doing things like that. It's a miracle that there was Star Wars comics at all. Like that were a continuing story for 80 issues.
What's fascinating is at a certain point in the next few years from where we are story-wise, that whole idea of, George needs to marry them first, all this stuff needs to happen. He clearly at some point changes and he says, you can have 40 years after the movies.
He makes decisions, yeah.
And 40 years before the movies, but at that 40-year mark on either point, that's mine again.
That's Georgie's world.
So that's why suddenly in the books, they're getting married in the books. They're having kids in the books. And it's weird that he changes that, but I would love to know when that flips.
That's an important moment, and that's kind of what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Like the thing about what Han Solo would do, and all you have to work with is a book that you read about that's not a movie yet, and
you're not
like,
allowed. Yeah, you're not allowed to change.
And Han Solo's just a guy. Like Han Solo's just a guy that could do anything, right? And you he might be a bad guy for all we know.
Honest to God, the brilliant thing about you releasing the new Canon book stuff is that's the same thing we felt with Aftermath.
Yes.
The first book did nothing. It was kind of just treading water. And then the first movie came out, and suddenly the next 2 books are like,
wham!
actually really entertaining because he can do stuff.
Sinjir was awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I still remember those characters. And
Yeah,
stuff.
that was good stuff.
By the 3rd book, we were like,
Snap's mom, remember
yeah.
her? Yeah, like it was cool.
Rip Snap, dude.
dude,
Her mom,
Rip.
his mom
Rip
was
Snap.
cool. His mom was cooler than him.
Crunkle, Crumple, the like not elves that didn't get the job.
Yeah.
Keebler. Sorry, guys.
The Kriebler elves.
When were the other ones?
Rip Snap. One of my favorite actors.
Bomp, Crample, and Snarps. From the Rice Krispies.
Hi, guys. We'll do 2 more questions.
Okay.
Sure.
Hi, guys. First off, thanks for making the show great. I love the positive attitude you're bringing to it, especially compared to the old show, NCBC. I really think pop culture archaeology is a great frame of mind to approach the topic with. That being said, I'd love to know which old Canon media you think is really worth checking out, but isn't well known to people that aren't digging as deep as you are. This can include stuff the podcast hasn't covered yet. I am ironically not that much of a Star Wars fan. I think the universe has a lot of potential, but most Star Wars media falls short of using it, IMO. So this podcast to me is also a way to find out about good parts hidden in between. Are there any comic book runs, novels, etc., that are genuinely great but totally off the radar for someone that isn't a huge Star Wars nerd? If it helps, I love the original trilogy, Rogue One, The Mandalorian, and Andor. But I think that's
should
most
read
hardcore Star Wars
Catalyst.
fans too at this point. Best wishes from Germany, Raul.
Raul, I think so far, Ord Mantell was a banger. The comic book story about Ord Mantell. I think the movie adaptations have been pretty beautiful, at least, if not, kind of on the nose for the most part. But we really liked them.
This is like a thing. I think the question was like stuff people don't necessarily like. Not the Thrawn trilogy.
I do think
I think the Ord Mantell storyline is really strong.
The Return of the Jedi and Empire, especially, you're talking about like adaptations. I mean,
Really
if you were young and into Star Wars at the time, but most people have not read those. Those are
Really
a
good.
great, fun way to like revisit it. I legitimately think that the Han Solo trilogy is good. It surprised me with how it matched what I remember the novels that we'll be reading in like the 90s. Like that, it just had that flavor where it felt in the universe in an organic way.
I think for the surprise factor, I would say that if you were going to read one trilogy between the two, I would read Lando just because it's so weird and so like, I think in the spirit of what you're asking about it just being like something that is like so off the beaten path, I think you'll find a pretty bizarre little story that has like a lot of color to it, like a lot of like the melodrama and silliness of the prose is like really tangible in the Lando stories. And even though it's not the best Star Wars, like as a reading experience, it's really unique.
Yeah.
Other than that, I didn't really like think anything was awesome.
There hasn't been enough, like, if you're not, like, there's tons of
Watch the
interesting
4K.
things if you do want to go in.
Watch the 4K edits; those are awesome.
Yeah.
But nothing has been like, whoa, this is so amazing yet.
Like, Split of the Mind's Eye is fascinating, but if you're not, like, it's fascinating because Star Wars, you're so into it, and seeing this evolutionary dead end of it is like, wow, there would be no more Star Wars if this was how they went. But it like still is a very interesting read. So I guess I don't know yet that there's really anything that I can definitively be like, this is rad if you are not more interested than a casual person.
But of stuff we haven't read, there's a few
Heir to
things.
the Empire,
I got the stuff we haven't read.
Is like a great thing for like somebody that has not done any expanded universe but really like Star Wars, being like, read this. You're gonna get an incredible story.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want Star Wars from an entirely different perspective, I had to look it up because I thought it was going crazy.
From a certain point of view.
Tales of the Jedi.
Don't read that.
Even though they just made a new TV show called Tales of the Jedi, ignore that. Go back.
Tom Veitch.
Read the old comics, Tales of the Jedi. We're talking like Nomi, son
Sunrider.
Sunrider.
They have
Queldroma. Like,
yeah. There's the Frida Nad Uprising.
Literally, that's like straight up just Knights of the Old Republic. Like, that's where that comes from. The Sith War. It's not going to be, you're not going to see any Lukes. You're not going to see anyone you know. It is thousands and thousands of years before. It's when dudes with lightsabers had to wear backpacks to power them.
Yeah, and it's a lot of the shit that we're talking about in terms of like what the potential of Star Wars could be.
It is absolutely fascinating stuff. They clearly were just like, let's try a thing. It feels more like fantasy than it does space battle-y stuff.
Yeah.
It's wild, and it's an entirely different perspective, and not many people who didn't grow up seeing it released actually know it or care about it.
There's a really cool Boba Fett series that I can't remember the name of that's a comic book from the mid-90s that was really good.
I mean, if you liked the Thrawn trilogy,
Tales of the Bounty Hunters,
Mara Jade, Hand of the Emperor, whatever that was, that's a
Emperor's
good comic.
Hand, yeah.
That's a good comic series.
the Corran Horn story, I Jedi, or what's the one before that?
I Jedi's, I mean, that's pretty fun.
Yeah, but I Jedi's like the second one, I think.
The problem is like the question
Or
is
maybe
like
it's a spin-off of
stuff that's
X-Wing.
checking out isn't well known to people that aren't digging as deep, and so it's like a lot of that stuff. Because I'd be like, if you're not at all into this, like, do like Shadows of the Empire, like that as like a cool. It's popular, but if you aren't really into it, then you can kind of experience. It had its own fanfare and other stuff like that kind of stuff.
I mean, even then, if you're talking about like not mainline,
new
Dark
Jedi-
Forces 1 and 2 is a whole ass experience that
new
you will
Jedi
love.
It's
Order-
like what it's so big. Like, what is the thing that you like? If you are into the flying, then the Rogue Squadron books are like you can go into.
We'll have to revisit them to like really say, oh, this one was like a banger. This was like really. This one blew me away because I don't have a memory of any of this stuff in that way.
I'm also bad at like there are the things that I connect with, and I don't know what makes other people excited in that way. And a lot of things that I think are super cool, other people are like, "Why did you tell me that?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
never mind."
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I think if I had to pick one thing that I feel like is like a really unsung thing that we've read so far, probably the Return to Ord Mantell or whatever that was called. The Bounty on Ord Mantell.
Like that, it went from lower, like quicker turnaround art to like movie like they just completely glue up.
Yeah.
I think
That
as
was
the
the-
kids might say.
I think that was the tightest.
Like
smartest.
it was like paced correctly. It looked. It's like probably the best
Yeah.
looking.
And the one with the dead rebel spy and the robot.
Actually, you know what the real answer should be? Fucking the second book.
Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
Splinter of the Mind's Eye is that like that's one of those things that I think everyone who has any micro interest in Star Wars, it's such an experience because it doesn't matter.
Right.
It so clearly doesn't matter.
The first expanded universe thing immediately got deleted.
Immediately.
To me, it's a really good way to look at Lucas on his own with Star Wars. Just to like remember that though he gets credit for everything, it's a group effort, and
that was
his
it.
idea of how the story should go is decidedly like
Well, that was Alan
It's
Dean
also
Foster.
Dragon
That was
Ball
Alan Dean
Z.
Foster.
no, but it's like
crazy.
it's his story
Right.
framework.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know that we've read anything that I think is like amazing yet. But I
agreed with that. There's nothing out.
I do expect that we will heavily recommend the Ewok films.
Yikes.
I have a feeling we're going to have a good time with those.
Oh, we'll have a good time.
Like, I think a genuinely good time. I think we're going to actually be like, the second one actually is awesome.
I mean, if we could come out of the holiday special being like, yo, half of that was actually really entertaining.
Dude, art fucking Carney, dude.
Yeah, there was some good stuff in there.
Okay, you said you got one more
Yeah.
to round us out? Take us out on Restore the Puppet, the puppet cut? Restore the puppet cut? Get that old Yoda back in Phantom Menace?
Okay.
Phantom puppet cut?
Alex over here is Zack de Snyder.
No.
Hey guys.
I'm past that.
Joe is fine. I'll use the medium of Star Wars to ask a more personal question.
Oh.
If you were each given a chance to write a book in the Star Wars universe, who would you dedicate the book to? And who in your life would you Tuckerize and how? Could be a person or a pet or a character from another setting even. Cheers.
Tuckerize?
It's like a person that's you're using another person's name as an in-joke in a... Like,
Okay.
it's like basically the author putting their friends' names as a minor character in there.
I don't really have like a out of pocket answer for this.
I think at this point, if somehow I had a book or anything made in the Star Wars universe, I would have to dedicate it to you two. Simply because, like, it would have probably come from this. And then I would name probably a Wookiee who's nicknamed Boomer, because that was my dog when I was a kid.
That's pretty good. That's like a nice nod to Chewbacca's origins.
Yeah.
I think I would dedicate any Star Wars thing that I wrote to my friend's dad from when I was a kid, because he was like us. He was like a nerd from an earlier time.
Sure.
He was a bacteriologist. I think he's still alive. He's a bacteriologist, really successful, hardworking man, outdoorsman, hiker guy. Played video games all the time and read the like nerdiest Star Wars shit of all time and bought all the comics and everything. And I would just borrow them all, and he lent me them. And that is the reason why I'm here. And the reason I still care about Star Wars today is because I had never had that experience before of not being a limit to how far into something I could go. And that was amazing. Tuckerize something. I would make a coffee place. I would just put coffee in Star Wars. I would just dead ass like make a coffee spot.
As long as every character is kind of confused about what they serve.
Yeah.
You're like, what is this?
It's like calf.
Do you guys have like calf? You have coffee in here or calf?
Oh my! It would be what you would have to do is do like an almost retelling of
Call it
Americans
Latte Larry's.
drinking coffee,
Yeah.
going to Europe and be like, y'all gonna have coffee?
Yeah.
And like,
Calf?
no.
They're like, no. Coffee, you put a filter and you let the water brew it. And calf, you express it.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love that. That'd be amazing.
I would dedicate
Coruscanto.
it to well, I guess Barbara, who was my neighbor and babysitter during my parents' weekly date night, and she was the one who brought over all of the Kenner toys that were her
Amazing.
sons and the things, and like started my entire
So
obsession with
amazing.
it. And
What a
then I guess my
babysitting.
mom, who, well, is not alive anymore, but also, despite me being like a terrible student who always wanted to read or be elsewhere, still like fueled the Star
that-
Wars
yeah.
game other obsession because it made me happy. And I would 100%, you motherfuckers are my Biggs and Wedge.
Yo.
You guys are getting Tuckerized.
Jesse's already in there. That's the third guy in the gang in Final Fantasy VII. Biggs, Wags,
Yeah, Jesse.
Wedge,
Big
and
Jesse. Yeah.
And
with an
one,
eye, so-
one or
Oh,
both
yeah.
of you is dying every time, or like implied dying, and just fine. Like the next time's like, what's up? You're
I
like,
call dying guy.
Yeah, you can be dying guy.
Yes.
I'll be,
But you have to
uh,
cry for me.
Yeah.
oh, it'll switch.
Huh?
All right. Keep them guessing.
It's
I
like
like
some
it.
weird like Shakespearean joke.
We're kind of like the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Honestly, you know that like
they killed Kenny.
you know who you're gonna be? You know how like Finn almost goes off with Alex and Jesse in Force Awakens, and then he doesn't. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like you guys are like little star traders that are like friend. Who knows what they think you guys are? But like that's it, and you're like always pop up to do a thing, and
Our Star Wars comic
Yeah.
is us like, hey, remember that time we were in Maz Kanata's bar? Nope. Let's go.
Yeah. I'd be like, hey, Finn, didn't you want to tell Ray something?
He's like, huh?
Like, are you sure you don't want to? We can stop her right now. She's literally doing
He's
nothing.
like, I don't remember that. She's like, I have no memory of that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Guys, this has been Restore the Puppet Cut, another episode of our politically motivated podcast in which we pressure Disney to acquiesce to our wishes about restoring Yoda to his true glory and honoring what they took from us. Thank you guys so much for...
Sign the petition.
Yeah, sign the petition at the Puppet Cut.
Don't do that. That might be a real
Yeah, I
website. It
know.
could get weird.
I don't want to
And if
weigh in on
you
this
can't bring that one back, I want sexy deep V Yoda instead.
debate. You want the
Yoda that fucks.
You want Yoda to be like,
Shirtless,
I never-
ripped Yoda.
I never felt like this before.
I want the X-Men First Class Xavier version of Yoda that like uses his bullshit to like pick up on.
I've been alive for 300 years. You know, the force exists between all living things. Realize
Tree,
that?
the rock.
My dick, that ass. After living 300 years, I've learned how to fuck. And I need 600 more years to go before I sleep.
Yep.
Miles to go before I sleep. Miles to go before I sleep.
What is this Rolf voice?
Also, that
Same guy, dude.
You're
Ralph
right.
when he's older.
You're right. Yeah.
Hey, man. You want to learn how to be a Jedi? Come on, man. Get your sword out. Come on. Let's make some soup. Your dad was an asshole. Come on. Turns out that guy actually was your dad. Isn't that crazy? A little bit of gaslighting.
Your
Piano starts playing the piano.
Your dog just started mercilessly licking my knee. We'll be back soon with Ewoks, and we'll see you guys there. Get ready for that. I cannot tell you how excited I am for this. So we'll see you there.
Bye.
Bye.
The Star Wars Old Canon Book Club is made possible by contributions from our listeners at patreon.com/SWOCBC. Thank you for your support. This month's Patreon Masters of the Force are Ian Berenade, Trevor Isom, Patrick Rowland, Amy Wakai, Jazz Owl, Peacetime Mando, and Metroid Mike. Thanks for listening. We'll be back soon with a discussion about our next selection, Caravan of Courage, an Ewok adventure, a TV special from director John Corti. This episode was edited by Alex Del Campo and Alex Faciane. The theme song is Venus, the Bringer of Peace by Gustav Holst, performed by the U.S. Air Force Heritage of America Band. Original show art by Jackie Whistler. See you next time.